Chapter 1627. His first impression was that there was no sign of life. The G pressure that was transmitted to Long Chen's body when they passed through the valley also existed in this spiritual world relic. However, it was extremely unstable and would suddenly appear from time to time. Presumably, it was the seal of this spiritual world relic. As far as the eye could see, there was no end to the spiritual world relic. It seemed that the tribe that used to live here had some stories. This is the place where the people who followed the young man lived? Long Chen muttered to himself. Long Chen had already learned about these things from the memory fragments of the Red Sun tribe's great elder. However, when Long Chen really arrived, he was somewhat surprised. At this time, Long Mu, who was in the Dragon Palace, spoke. The reason why this spiritual world relic appeared in this small spiritual world is probably because it won't last long. With these unstable seals, I think this spiritual world relic will completely disappear in this small spiritual world in at most a month. How can this be? Long Chen was somewhat confused. Long Mu said, let's put it this way. Can't you see that even if the entrance to this spiritual world relic is that valley, the scenery here is really related to that valley? That is, Long Mu leisurely said, if I'm not wrong, this spiritual world relic is very likely a realm. Moreover, it's a Hong Meng Tianjing's realm. Another realm? Long Chen was very surprised. Ever since he was trapped in Mu Wenhua's realm, Long Chen had a natural fear of realms. Doesn't that mean that I've entered someone else's realm? Long Chen muttered. The dragon tomb's tone was calm as it said, don't worry, don't worry. I haven't finished yet. It's true that the spirit world ruins here is a domain. However, since the seal has already retreated, I believe that the seal has long lost its owner's maintenance. This means that this is an ownerless realm. Long Chen calmed down a little and said, is it a good thing or a bad thing for me? Nonsense. Long Mu shouted, of course it's a good thing. Right now, you haven't been promoted to Hong Meng Yuan Jia, so naturally, you have to learn more about domains. And this ownerless domain is the best example for you to learn from. Alright, you must be promoted to Hong Meng Yuan Jia. Great! Hearing Long Mu's words, Long Chen was overjoyed. Alright, stop wasting time. This spirit world ruin is quite vast. I think the people who came in through the entrance of the valley were randomly sent to random places in this spirit world ruin. Right now, everything is unknown. You have two pieces in your hands that you can control. The jade pendant of this small spiritual world is an innate advantage. Next, you should start exploring. Strive to find the gathering place of the tribe in the ruins as soon as possible. Long Mu reminded. Long Chen nodded and immediately said to Long Yuan behind him, Long Yuan, it's not very safe here. You have to be careful along the way. If there are any strange movements, you must inform me immediately. Chapter 1628. Long Chen and Long Yuan leaped up. Long Yuan held the heavenly demon dragon spear tightly in his hands. Unable to relax his mind, Long Yuan's gaze constantly scanned his surroundings. On the phone, As Long Chen and Long Yuan hurried along, they paid attention to their companions who appeared in the spiritual realm ruins. Soon, Long Chen saw many people who came in with them. The strength of these people were all above the Hong Meng consolidation realm. There were even quite a few Hong Meng Yuan Jia. As early as when the seal of the spiritual realm ruins was opened, Long Chen sensed many Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts. On the day of Long Chen's battle with Mu Wenhua, many people did not even bother to watch. This was the reason why so many primordial origin realm experts had come for the opening of the spirit world ruins. In this spiritual realm ruins, although he would not have much interaction with these people now, it would be difficult for him to not have any conflicts with them in the future. If there were a few among these people who were strong and did not look down on him, Long Chen would not be able to taste any benefits if he fought with them. Therefore, what Long Mu said before was right. Long Chen had to advance to the Hong Meng Yuan Jia in this spiritual realm ruins and condense a powerful domain. Only then could Long Chen truly straighten his back and talk to his enemies. Otherwise, even if Long Chen had the ability to challenge Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts, he would not be able to obtain any benefits in this spiritual realm ruins. Naturally, Long Chen would not accept such an outcome. As they hurried along, it did not take long for Long Chen to feel the vastness of this spiritual realm ruins. As they passed through the air, waves of Hongmeng pressure rolled onto Long Chen's body. Before Long Chen could react, the pressure instantly dissipated. Under the spiritual realm ruins, there were also ruins. When Long Chen saw this, he understood that the existence of these ruins was nothing more than a reminder to those who came here that there were real people who once lived here. In the ruins, there was not the slightest bit of life. The dilapidated houses and the remnants of stone caves made people feel sad. As Long Chen approached the center of the spiritual realm ruins and explored, Long Chen also discovered something that was more thought-provoking. In this spiritual realm ruins, it seemed that there was not only one tribe, but the ruins of many tribes that were scattered and gathered together in this spiritual realm ruins. In other words, tens of thousands of years ago, there were many tribes that lived here. However, the information that Long Chen obtained from the memory fragments of the Red Sun tribe's great elder was not like this. However, Long Chen did not have the time to think about this. The main reason was that Long Chen was now troubled by another matter that was even more puzzling. Long Chen explored the ruins of many tribes, but he did not find a single spiritual treasure that could catch his eye. Most of the things in the ruins were worn-out daily necessities that could not be more worn out. Other than that, there was nothing else. Just as Long Chen was about to leave after exploring the ruins of a tribe that did not find anything, suddenly, there was a Hongmeng force that was different from the Hongmeng pressure in this domain. Long Chen immediately tensed up and looked in the direction of this force. There was an inconspicuous hill, and the strange force from before was emitted from this mountain. Long Chen took some time to react as he looked at the hill. After which, he called out to Long Yuan, who was behind him. Soon after, the two of them rushed towards the hill. There seems to be some spiritual treasures in this hill. In the Dragon Palace, Long Mu also shouted. Since Long Mu had said so, Long Chen was even more anxious. He directly sped up and rushed toward the hill that was close at hand. His figure landed on the hill, and he felt the strange force that was faintly discernible. After searching for a while, Long Chen finally made a surprising discovery. At the highest point of the hill, there was a corpse that had been mostly weathered. The strange force that had touched Long Chen was emitted from this corpse. The corpse's bones were golden in color. Long Chen did not know why it was like this. Long Yuan looked at the golden corpse, and for a moment, he was a little scared. He could not help but take 2 steps back, and the heavenly demon dragon spear in his hand tightened. Just as Long Chen was puzzled, Long Mu said, "This is an expert from Hongmeng Tianjing." Hongmeng Tianjing? Long Chen was extremely shocked. Now, the Hongmeng Tianjing was like a star to Long Chen, and the corpse in front of him was actually from Hongmeng Tianjing? Why are you so surprised? The great elder of the Red Sun tribe that you swallowed in the mysterious stone room was also from Hongmeng Tianjing. Long Mu said disdainfully. When he said that, Long Chen found it even harder to calm his restless heart. Then how did he die? Long Chen calmed down a little and asked. Probably during the tribulation. Looking at it, it should be the 4th layer of Hongmeng Tianjing. In other words, he was going through the 4th layer of heaven's tribulation. Long Mu said slowly. Long Chen knew that if an expert from Hongmeng Tianjing wanted to increase his strength, he had to go through a tribulation. This tribulation was called Heaven's Tribulation. Because of the division of strength, Heaven's Tribulation was also divided into 9 layers. The higher the strength, the more powerful the Heaven's Tribulation. Since ancient times, many Hongmeng Firmament Realm experts had sacrificed their lives in the Heaven's Tribulation in order to improve their strength to a higher level. The corpse in front of him had fallen because of the 4th layer of Heaven's Tribulation. Just when Long Chen felt sorry for the expert from Hongmeng Tianjing, the corpse once again emitted the strange power that had attracted Long Chen. Long Chen murmured, could there be something like the great elder of the Red Sun tribe in this skeleton that was preparing to possess him? Long Mu shook his head and said, you think too much. The Heaven's Tribulation is too powerful. Things like souls can't bear it. The reason why this corpse emits such a strange power is that there must be a heaven's gold core in it. Heaven's gold core? Long Chen didn't understand. Long Mu explained, when your strength reaches Hongmeng Tianjing, you will gather the power of the domain condensed in Hongmeng Yuan Jie and condense it into a gold core in your body. It is called the Heaven's Gold Core. This gold core represents the strength of the experts from Hongmeng Tianjing before they reached Hongmeng Tianjing. It has great power, Chapter 1629. Without waiting for Long Chen to speak, Long Mu continued, however, although the firmament golden elixir contains a huge amount of energy, it is basically impossible to forcibly refine and absorb its power due to the mind imprint of every expert. However, this person has been dead for so long that the mind imprint on the firmament golden elixir should have gradually faded away. Just as Long Mu was explaining, Long Chen had already reached his hand under the corpse. He immediately activated the Hongmeng in his body and flipped the corpse to the side. The moment Long Chen moved the corpse, a gust of wind came from nowhere and blew the corpse into a pile of ashes. Even the experts of the Hongmeng Yuan Jie could not withstand the erosion of time. It was also at this moment that a glittering golden elixir appeared in front of Long Chen's eyes. Firmament golden elixir. Long Chen didn't say anything, and neither did Long Yuan, who was beside him. Those words were spoken by another person. Long Chen and Long Yuan quickly looked around to see who was watching them in the dark. Then, a man in a black robe mysteriously appeared in front of Long Chen and Long Yuan. He came without a trace. The man was tightly wrapped in a black robe. He appeared to be very capable and experienced. He had a weather-beaten appearance. However, his eyes were filled with unswerving determination. Looking at the man in black who suddenly appeared, Long Chen immediately became nervous. Long Yuan also pointed the heavenly demon dragon spear at the man and prepared for battle. To be able to get close to Long Chen without him noticing, Long Chen was terrified by this method. Oh, isn't this the heavenly demon dragon spear? Someone really got it. Looks like the demonic dragon tribe is going to rise. The man in black looked at the heavenly demon dragon spear in Long Yuan's hand and smiled. Long Chen took the firmament golden elixir from the ashes and asked the man in black with a serious expression, "May I know who you are?" The man in black looked at Long Chen's little movements and smiled helplessly. "You are really lucky to be able to get 2 jade bangles and the heavenly demon dragon spear. Now, you have just entered the spiritual realm ruins and you are able to get a firmament golden elixir. Even I can't help but admire you." Who are you?" Long Chen's mind was a little unstable after hearing the man in black's words. He knew that this man knew more than half of his affairs. "Don't worry. Although I am also interested in the firmament golden elixir, since you got it first and used the jade bangles to open the seal, I can't be bothered to deal with a junior like you. Moreover, your strength is really not worth it. You have to let me do it." The man in black smiled. Long Chen had already released his mind to probe the man in black's strength. However, to Long Chen's surprise, he couldn't get close to the man in black. The man in black also felt Long Chen's movements and said, "If I remember correctly, your name is Long Chen, right? You seem to be from the heavenly dragon tribe?" "Ha, I knew it. So it was because of this that you were able to get the heavenly demon dragon spear. Not bad, not bad." Long Chen was stunned by the man's words and didn't know what to do next. "Sir, who are you?" This was the third time Long Chen had asked this question. The man in black laughed and said, "I'm just an ordinary person. You don't have to take it to heart. However, since we've met, you and I are considered to be fated. I'll give you some advice. Even if you have the ability to defeat Hongmeng Yuan Jie experts, that method is not stable. In the spiritual realm ruins, it can be considered the most suitable place in the world to advance to Hongmeng Yuan Jie. After all, the ruins here are a domain. Compared to the ancient battlefield in the far north, the opportunities here are much greater. Although there aren't as many fate spiritual treasures as there are in the ancient battlefield, people like you can benefit much more here than there." Hearing that the man in black didn't have any ill intentions, Long Chen really couldn't understand what he was thinking. However, the black-robed man's words were still pointing out a path for Long Chen. In that case, Long Chen had to thank him. Wait a minute. Thank you for telling me. Long Chen said cautiously. You don't have to thank me. I don't intend to give you any substantial help. This golden firmament pill should belong to you because I came a little late. As for you, after refining this golden firmament pill, your strength will increase by leaps and bounds. This is your good fortune. If we meet again, I might consider being friends with you. The man in black smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, the man in black strangely disappeared from his original place. In just a breath's time, all the aura of the man in black disappeared on the hill. Master, can you see through this man's strength? Long Yuan took 2 steps toward Long Chen and frowned. Long Chen shook his head and said, his strength is simply like the difference between the heavens and the earth when compared to the experts of the primordial origin world I've seen. I presume that since he was able to speak so casually, then his strength is probably at the primordial origin world as well. Meng Tian realm. Hong Meng Tian Jing? Long Yuan was stunned and did not know what to say for a moment. As he said, let's just treat him as an ordinary person. Since he doesn't want to be our enemy, why should we take him seriously? Long Chen smiled. Long Yuan could only nod, but the shock on his face did not fade. Looking at the golden firmament pill that he had obtained earlier, Long Chen tried to exert the aura of Hong Meng on it. Indeed, he suffered a great backlash. Thinking about the mind imprint that Long Mu had reminded him of, Long Chen did not force it. Now, the most important thing was to find the ruins that had been gathered here. After finding the gathering place tens of thousands of years ago, Zhang Tai guessed that it must be the most mysterious place in the spiritual realm. Long Yuan, we should go. Long Chen said slowly. Long Yuan hurriedly followed behind. During this journey, Long Chen directly ignored the small tribal ruins. Even if they came across some slightly larger ruins, Long Chen did not want to go down. Chapter 1630. From the golden firmament pill that he had easily obtained, Long Chen understood that there must be countless treasures and opportunities in the depths of the spiritual realm ruins, silently waiting for people to find them. Long Chen flew past these spiritual realm ruins. Gradually, as he explored deeper into the spiritual realm ruins, the ruins Long Chen saw became more and more complete. In the end, he could vaguely see that it was a village. It looked like a village. Seeing this, Long Chen felt that there must have been a lot of people living in the spiritual realm ruins tens of thousands of years ago. Apart from what Long Chen knew about the Great War tens of thousands of years ago, there were also some things that Long Chen did not know. All of this was like one mystery after another, leading people to search for the truth of the small spiritual realm. Looking at the gradual changes in the spiritual realm ruins, Long Chen's expression gradually became more and more expectant. In this way, his flying speed increased again, and he traveled for nearly the time it took to burn an incense stick. At this time, Long Chen suddenly felt a trace of a different aura. This Hong Meng aura was very gentle, but if he felt it carefully, he would find that the depth of this Hong Meng aura was huge, as if it was endless. Long Chen's interest was naturally piqued when he sensed this strange information. Just like when he sensed the location of the Elysium Golden Elixir, Long Chen felt that since he had been rushing all the way, he must have surpassed many people who had entered the spiritual realm relic. Therefore, he was very likely to be the first person to discover this aura. Long Chen increased his speed once again. In merely a few breaths' time, a huge primordial fluctuation appeared in Long Chen's field of vision. The fluctuation directly formed a primordial mist, and under the mist, there was actually a sea of primordial mist. Huge lake that he could not see the end of. The lake was constantly emitting a strong and vigorous Hong Meng aura. With every ripple of the lake, endless Hong Meng aura would be stimulated in the space. The lake of Hong Meng. Long Chen looked at the lake in front of him in a daze, and for a moment, he could not speak. After a long time, Long Chen exhaled a turbid breath, and his expression was full of shock. As for Long Yuan, who was beside him, he was also dumbfounded. Since Long Chen confirmed the existence of the lake, a bold idea came to his mind, and this idea became a reality. The lake in front of him was not an ordinary lake, but the lake of Hongmeng formed by thousands of Hongmeng. Moreover, the water of the primordial lake was primordial water that was formed entirely from primordial aura. Such a big lake, it's really a paradise. In the Dragon Palace, even the knowledgeable Long Mu, who used to look down on almost everything, could not help but be amazed when he saw the lake of Hongmeng. Hearing Long Mu's praise, Long Chen gradually came to his senses. The lake of Hongmeng could be said to be the most suitable place for meditation. Even if Long Chen practiced for another 10,000 years, he would not be able to absorb and refine the endless Hongmeng aura. It was only a millionth of the lake of Hongmeng. Long Chen, who was still in shock, quickly landed with Long Yuan. Looking at the lake of Hongmeng not far away, and feeling the pure Hongmeng floating in the space, Long Chen was very happy. Kaboom! However, the instant the Long Chen duo landed on the ground, a green-colored figure suddenly charged out from the lake. It headed straight for the Long Chen duo, who were about to approach the Hongmeng lake, and immediately emitted a dense and vigorous aura. It was the Hongmeng storm. Break! Just as the Hongmeng storm was about to hit Long Chen, a black spear directly burst out from behind Long Chen. At the same time, the spear was wrapped in a huge Hongmeng hurricane. It directly collided with the Hongmeng hurricane. They collided violently. The huge Hongmeng storm dissipated, and the green figure in the lake of Hongmeng suddenly disappeared, as if nothing had happened. Although Long Yuan did not know what the green figures were, he was no longer afraid since he had just successfully withstood their attack. Immediately, he was about to move forward. At this time, Long Chen grabbed the fearless Long Yuan. "No!" Long Chen said in a low voice. Long Yuan stopped and frowned slightly. He said, "Master, do you know what that is?" Long Chen's expression suddenly became cautious. He said, "That figure is very likely a lake monster." Lake monster? It was probably the first time Long Yuan heard this strange name. He immediately asked, "What is that?" Long Chen said, "You have seen it too. This lake is full of Hongmeng aura. Such a scene can be said to be the best in the world. Since this is the case, this lake must have its own strange means. The green figure we saw before is very likely a lake monster. This lake has absorbed the Hongmeng aura for thousands of years and condensed into a puppet to guard this lake." Long Yuan understood Long Chen's meaning, and after thinking for a while, he said, "Master, you've seen it just now. This lake doesn't have any strength at all. Since this lake water is a spiritual treasure, we can't." "Don't worry," Long Chen shook his head and said, "since we've encountered this lake water, we naturally have to get some benefits. However, the lake water that we saw before was only one lake water. No one has set foot in this spiritual world relic for thousands of years. There is only one lake monster in this lake. Moreover, is there no one with a higher strength? Before we figure it out, we must not act rashly." After hearing this, Long Yuan's behavior became much more restrained. Standing in front of this Hongmeng lake, just feeling the huge Hongmeng ripples from the lake was enough to make the two feel relaxed and happy. They really did not know how it would feel if they could enter this lake. Long Chen said, "Since this lake is in this spiritual realm ruins, those who lived here thousands of years ago must have planned for this lake. Perhaps, we can find some clues here." The moment Long Chen's voice fell, Long Chen's brows tightly knitted together. As if he had sensed something else, he immediately turned around and looked into the distance. In just a few breaths, more than 10 figures flew over from the distance and immediately landed beside this Hongmeng lake. Among these people, the leader shouted at Long Chen, "This lake already belongs to our Four Seas tribe. I will give you 10 breaths of time to leave quickly. Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile reading website. Chapter 1631. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, with the arrival of the people who called themselves the Four Seas tribe, a wave of Hongmeng aura that was much stronger than before immediately spread out in this space. More than a dozen figures simultaneously looked at Long Chen and his companion, each of their faces ashen and solemn. Longchen looked at the dozen figures that suddenly appeared and immediately felt some pressure. These 10 people were all wearing blue robes, and their actions were very cautious. Moreover, Longchen tried to release his mind to investigate the strength of these 10 people, and surprisingly found that among these 10 people, there were a total of 5 Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts. These 10 people who called themselves the Four Seas tribe indeed had the strength to say such words to Longchen. More than a dozen people stood together, and a wave of faint Hongmeng fluctuations floated around them, forming a contrast with the Hongmeng lake behind them. Seeing that Longchen and his companion did not respond, the person who spoke before became a little anxious. Just as he was about to get angry, another person beside him opened his mouth and said, "Oh, not bad. So it's Longchen who has 2 spiritual realm jade slit rings and defeated Mu Wenhua of the Sunkenwood tribe with the strength of the consolidation realm and Hongmeng. I have to say, your luck is really good. First, you have 2 spiritual realm jade slit rings to yourself, and now you have entered the spiritual realm ruins and discovered the Hongmeng lake before us. This kind of luck is really admirable." This person had obviously seen Longchen somewhere, and he knew most of the things that Longchen had done. To Longchen, this Four Seas tribe was something that he could not make sense of. First, Longchen did not have the slightest understanding of this Four Seas tribe. It was as if they had suddenly appeared. However, just by looking at the strength of the Four Seas tribe, Longchen knew that this Four Seas tribe was definitely a large tribe. "Hai Si, is what you said true? This guy is Longchen?" The person who shouted at Longchen before asked. The one called Hai Si nodded and said, "Yes, this guy is Longchen. Don't be scared by his strength of the consolidation realm and Hongmeng. Even Mu Wenhua can't block the strength that he can unleash." At this time, Longchen looked at these people's malicious gazes, and for a moment, he actually did not have much of a plan. "Presumably, your Four Seas tribe is also a large tribe. I don't need to explain the principle of first come first serve. Moreover, this Hongmeng lake is so huge, we live our own lives and do not provoke each other." Longchen was naturally unwilling. "First come first serve? Ha ha, what a joke." Hai Si laughed loudly and said, "Our Four Seas tribe, to people like you, we are the reason. Also, do you really think that just because you can defeat Mu Wenhua, you can be so arrogant in our Four Seas tribe?" After Hai Si finished speaking, the leader also laughed and said, "Longchen, right? Seeing that you found 2 pieces of jade and broke through the seal of this spiritual realm relic, you too can leave now without any worries. If not, then don't blame me, Hai Su, for not giving you any face." As his voice fell, waves of violent Hongmeng aura directly floated around Hai Si and Hai Su. For Hai Su, he had never seen Longchen before, but he had heard about Longchen's deeds. Longchen was able to defeat Mu Wenhua, which was really beyond Hai Su's expectations. Moreover, Hai Su's strength was not as good as Mu Wenhua's. However, for now, Hai Su had all the people of the Four Seas tribe by his side, a total of 5 Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts. Even if Longchen had the strength to defeat Mu Wenhua, what could he do? Seeing Hai Si being so aggressive and not giving any room for discussion, Longchen was also burning with anger. At the same time, a trace of coldness flashed through his eyes. Behind him, Long Yuan had already tightly grasped the demonic dragon spear in his hand, ready to fight at any time. "What do you think? We don't have so much time to waste with you," Hai Su said with a smile. "If you want to leave, leave. This spiritual realm ruins does not belong to your Four Seas tribe. I opened the door for you, but you turned hostile and refused to recognize me. You really have no manners." Longchen scolded angrily. Hearing this, in just a moment, Hai Si and Hai Sai's faces became extremely gloomy. A trace of murderous intent appeared in the eyes of the more than 10 people of the Four Seas tribe. Hai Si sneered and said angrily, "2 Hongmeng consolidation realm guys, you really don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Do you really think you are invincible? Looks like I need to teach you a lesson. People like you who don't even know where you came from are not worthy to appear in this small spiritual realm. Let's go together and capture these 2 brats who don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is, and sacrifice them to the lake." Haisi said sternly. Hearing Haisai's words, the other people of the Four Seas tribe also laughed maliciously. Then, around their bodies, waves of fierce Hongmeng energy suddenly exploded. Perhaps it was because the power released by these dozens of people was too great, but just as they were about to make a move, a few spots of light appeared at the side of the Hongmeng Lake in a few inconspicuous places. Perhaps the people of the Four Seas tribe did not notice this, but Longchen saw it clearly. Moreover, Longchen reacted very quickly. These flashing dots of light were very likely a great array, and the function of this great array was most likely to be connected to this Hongmeng Lake. A great array from tens of thousands of years ago. Without waiting for Longchen to think deeper, the figures of the Four Seas tribe arrived with a whistling sound. The majestic aura, which was wrapped in a rich aura of the primordial world, gradually gathered into many pure attacks that smashed toward Longchen from all directions. Seeing this scene, the demonic dragon spear in Long Yuan's hand was already restless. His figure took 2 steps forward, and just as he was about to make a move, Longchen pulled Long Yuan back. Longchen threw a glance at Long Yuan, telling him to hide behind him. Monstrous starlight great array. Hongmeng floated around Longchen, directly activating the monstrous starlight great array. Waves of starlight flickered in the dense fog of Hongmeng, and a great array gradually formed, directly blocking those attacks outside. Long Mu, there is a great array beside this Hongmeng Lake. Do you have a way to find all of its bases? Longchen's consciousness came to the Dragon Palace, and he shouted at Long Mu. I can give it a try. Long Mu nodded, and directly rushed out of the Dragon Palace. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1632. In the beginning, Longchen did not have any means to retaliate against the Four Seas tribe's unreasonable attack. After all, there were 5 Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts among them. If Longchen and Long Yuan were to fight them head-on, it would be the same as asking for death. Death. When Longchen saw the flickering light of the formation, Longchen's attention was drawn to it. Before the Four Seas tribe had arrived, Longchen had suspected that the people who had settled down in the spirit world ruins tens of thousands of years ago must have used some method to communicate with the primordial lake and obtain the power of the lake. The flickering light of the formation directly proved Longchen's guess. Previously, Longchen first stopped Long Yuan, who was about to make a move. Then, Longchen used the monstrous starlight formation to temporarily block the attacks of the Four Seas tribe. After that, Longchen asked Long Mu to dash out when no one was paying attention to investigate the location of the formation. Here. Longchen was confident that if Long Mu could really find all the bases of the formation, as long as the formation could still be activated, Longchen would be able to activate the formation and directly give the Four Seas tribe a resounding slap in the face. Long Mu naturally understood Longchen's actions. Without saying anything, he directly dashed out of the monstrous starlight formation. Taking advantage of the fact that no one in the Four Seas tribe was paying attention, he instantly appeared behind the Four Seas tribe and began to search the surroundings of the Hongmeng Lake. He was searching for the bases of the formation. The monstrous starlight formation that Longchen had formed naturally played its role. It managed to block the first wave of attacks from the dozens of people from the Four Seas tribe. Under this resplendent light, a large hole was directly broken through the monstrous starlight formation. The defensive technique that Longchen was once the proudest of, in the eyes of the current Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts, could not even withstand a single blow. The people of the Four Seas tribe directly charged in through the enormous hole in the great starlight array. A new round of attacks had already been successfully formed. A layer of ripple-like Hongmeng energy wave condensed around the bodies of the dozen figures. When he saw this, Longchen understood that the 10+ people from the Four Seas tribe had probably cultivated the same type of technique, and that was why their attacks were so similar. However, since things had developed to this point, the first step of Longchen's plan had been completed. Next, it would depend on how much time Long Mu had to spend to find the entire array. And now, what Longchen needed to do was to stall these people. Long Yuan, do it now! Longchen's words were inspiring. Long Yuan's demonic dragon spear was ready to strike as he looked at the dozen figures in the great starlight formation. Long Yuan sneered, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. A layer of black appeared around the demonic dragon spear in his hand. Hong Meng floated above it, and the strong wind around it stirred up. With the demonic dragon spear in his hand, Long Yuan charged into the midst of the dozen figures with an indomitable will. Looking at Long Yuan's suicidal attitude, Long Chen felt somewhat helpless. However, Long Chen understood that with Long Chen's powerful physique and the demonic dragon's inheritance in his body, even if Long Chen was not a match for these dozen people, if these dozen people were to completely defeat Long Yuan, they would have to spend a lot of effort. At the same time, the dragon halberd appeared in Long Chen's hand. A golden dragon whizzed out and directly supported the dragon halberd. Although the heavenly dragon's secret art had already reached the 9th level, and he could no longer display the powerful strength of the 8th part, to Long Chen, this was still the best way to attack and retreat. Even though there was only one golden dragon on the dragon halberd. There was only one golden dragon left. Long Chen knew that among the 5 Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts from the Four Seas tribe, Hai Su and Hai Si were the 2 strongest. As long as he could hold off these 2 people, Long Yuan would be able to hold on, even though it would be a little tiring for him to deal with the remaining people. After a period of time. Thinking of this, Long Chen immediately condensed Hong Meng around him. On the dragon halberd, the golden dragon whizzed. Long Chen also followed Long Yuan and charged into the crowd. Waves of Hong Meng exploded, and directly broke through the monstrous starlight array, creating an incomparably powerful Hong Meng airwave. Relying on the powerful attack of the heavenly demon dragon spear, Long Yuan directly suppressed the 5 of them to one side. At the same time, the dragon soul also materialized at this moment and directly added to the heavenly demon dragon spear. Long Chen also exploded with a strong aura, and blocked the attacks of the several Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts who were rushing towards him. Within the monstrous starlight array, Hai Su and Hai Si were also shocked by the sudden attack of Long Chen and Long Yuan. More than 10 of them were actually forced to retreat by the 2 people. It was really embarrassing. Everyone, don't panic. Just attack together. Hai Su said coldly. However, just as Hai Su was distracted, a long spear directly swung in a circle in the air. Then, the long spear was wrapped in a huge Hong Meng, and directly slammed heavily on Hai Su's back. Boom! Long Yuan's move was unexpected, and it was really beautiful. Even Long Chen, who was surrounded by 10 people, could not help but gasp in admiration. Just like what Long Yuan said before, he and the dragon soul and the sky demon dragon spear had gradually become familiar. When they cooperated, there was naturally no gap between them. On the other hand, Long Chen was surrounded by 10 people, and he had no choice but to be beaten up. In the next moment, Hai Su's body immediately shot backwards after being heavily struck by the sky demon dragon spear. From his expression, it was possible to tell that the blood within his body was unable to be suppressed for some time after being struck by the sky demon dragon spear. After that, something even more shocking happened to the Four Seas tribe. In this space, there was suddenly no light. It was pitch black. Long Chen withdrew his body, and connected his Hong Meng to the monstrous starlight array, and used this little trick. Perhaps Hai Su and Hai Si did not care about Long Chen's monstrous starlight array at the beginning, and it was because of this that Long Chen was able to do something so unexpected. In the darkness, although the 10 people from the Four Seas tribe could vaguely see the person in front of them, it was too difficult to find Long Yuan and Long Chen's body. Boom! Since there was such a good opportunity, Long Chen was not willing to waste it. Forcefully controlling the darkness of the monstrous starlight array also exhausted Long Chen's huge mental strength. As for the people from the Four Seas tribe, as long as one of them was still condensing a domain, Long Chen's low-level trick would be broken without them attacking. Now, Long Chen could only place all his hopes on Long Mu. As long as he could find the array that people used to connect to the lake in Hong Meng tens of thousands of years ago, Long Chen would have a chance. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1633. Bang! In this pitch-black starlight formation, everyone could only rely on their minds to sense the changes in their surroundings. This way, the dozen people from the Four Seas tribe did not dare to rashly attack. It would not be good if they hurt their own people. However, this situation was an excellent opportunity for Long Chen and Long Yuan. After all, Long Chen and Long Yuan only had 2 people. Even if they attacked in the chaos, they would not be able to hurt each other. As such, Long Yuan and Long Chen controlled Hong Meng in this pitch-black starlight formation. They changed their positions and used various attacking methods. As for whether they could attack others, that would depend on their luck. In an instant, within the starlight formation, the sounds of explosions from Hong Meng did not cease. Miserable screams from the Four Seas tribe immediately echoed. The people of the Four Seas tribe who were attacked immediately attacked in the direction of Hong Meng. However, Long Chen and Long Yuan had a tacit understanding that they would change their target after each shot. The Four Seas tribe had no choice but to attack. Moreover, some of their attacks ended up hurting their own people. Bastard! Long Chen, you better hurry up and show yourself. If you let me condense my domain, I will definitely tear you to pieces. Hai Su's voice rang out. His voice was mixed with immense anger. Hai Su was very violent. Just as Long Chen and Long Yuan attacked randomly, they had already coincidentally interrupted his process of condensing his domain a few times. In addition, the sounds of the Four Seas tribe being attacked filled the surroundings. Hai Su was already extremely angry. Huff! After Hai Su said these words, Long Chen's strength supporting the starlight formation was also exhausted. Naturally, he gave up on enveloping this space in darkness. So what if I show myself? Even if you condense your domain, do you have absolute confidence in capturing me? Long Chen appeared in front of Hai Su like a ghost and laughed. The darkness around him scattered. The instant Hai Su saw Long Chen's figure, he immediately swung his fist. The huge Hong Meng was immediately added to it. A violent and vigorous Hong Meng wind swept out and quickly pounced towards Long Chen. Long Chen's reaction was swift. The dragon halberd in his hand pierced forward. The golden dragon on it roared as pure Hong Meng was added to it. Immediately, it collided with the Hong Meng wind. Crack! Powerful shockwaves from the collision swept out and actually split apart a large portion of the Hong Meng fog. The starlight formation that originally existed in the starlight formation actually became extremely clear. At the same time, what Hai Su did not expect was that Long Yuan, who he had previously ignored, actually took advantage of the short period of time when he and Long Chen were attacking each other to directly release a Hong Meng. Steadily and without any fancy moves, it hit Hai Su's back. Although Hai Su had the strength of a Hong Meng Yuan Jie, he also felt a little uncomfortable when he firmly received Long Yuan's attack. Just like Hai Si previously, his expression also became ugly as the color on his face churned. Cough cough. Hai Su coughed a few times and immediately turned around. With a palm strike, it directly broke open a crack in the air. The huge Hong Meng that was wrapped in the crack immediately bombarded Long Yuan's body. If Long Yuan had Long Chen's reaction speed, it was likely that he would be able to dodge this attack. However, Long Yuan was still a little inferior to Long Chen. Taking advantage of the moment when Long Chen and Long Yuan were distracted, Hai Si, who was at the side, hurriedly gave the order, "Condense the domain." With only a dozen people, they were actually fooled by 2 Hong Meng consolidation stage people. If news of this were to spread, it would really make people laugh their heads off. Hearing Hai Si's order, the 3 Hong Meng Yuan Jie experts from the Four Seas tribe who had gone out to deal with Hai Su and Hai Si began to activate the Hong Meng around them and condense the domain that belonged to the Hong Meng Yuan Jie experts. If they could envelop Long Chen in the domain that they condensed, Long Chen would undoubtedly die. Seeing that these people were beginning to condense Hong Meng, Long Chen, who was originally somewhat complacent, immediately felt a trace of pressure. Beside the 5 Hong Meng Yuan Jie experts, there were 8 Hong Meng consolidation stage experts guarding them. Long Chen did not have the strength to maintain the monstrous starlight array. If he did not leave now, it was very likely that he would be trapped by the domain. However, Long Chen had finally found such a perfect place to cultivate. How could he give it up so easily? It was also at this time that Long Mu, who had left the Dragon Palace earlier, finally made a move. Long Mu directly communicated with Long Chen's mind through telepathy. After a short while, Long Chen received information about the array beside the Hongmeng Lake. What made Long Chen happy was that Long Mu was 100% sure that this array could be activated. It just needed a lot of Hongmeng's aura. However, Long Chen did not even consider this. Next to the Hongmeng Lake, what was there to be afraid of lacking in Hongmeng's aura? Moreover, under Long Mu's investigation, Long Chen only knew the array base of this array. Although he was not very clear about the array's function, Long Chen knew that this was the best method he could use to deal with the Four Seas tribe. Therefore, Long Chen immediately took action. His figure changed and directly flew around the Hongmeng Lake. Although Long Yuan did not know what Long Chen was doing, he still chased after him. Everywhere Long Chen went, he poured a huge amount of Hongmeng's aura into the array base. For a moment, the array base that had not been activated for tens of thousands of years flashed. When Long Chen lit up the last array base, Long Mu also replied to Long Chen. At the same time, the Four Seas tribe's people finally succeeded in condensing their domains. The range of the domains began to expand, and soon, Long Chen and Long Mu were surrounded. It was also at this time that the Hongmeng Lake suddenly shook. The array bases that Long Chen had just passed by burst of Hongmeng's aura at the same time. Almost instantly, a circle of light appeared in these array bases. When the domains in the circle of light collided, the domains that the Hongmeng Yuan Jie experts were most proud of were shattered in an instant. Almost everyone in the Four Seas tribe was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They never imagined that such a strange change would occur. Hai Su, Long Chen seems to have used an array that actually connected to the Hongmeng Lake, someone in the Four Seas tribe exclaimed. And this circle of light also enveloped Long Chen and Long Yuan, and there was no longer any danger to speak of. Seeing this situation, Hai Su and Hai Si immediately used all kinds of methods on the circle of light, but there was no reaction. Guard here. I don't believe that he can hide forever. Also, call Mu Wenhua over. When he comes out, I will tear him into pieces. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1634. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, a huge light curtain rose into the sky and directly encircled Long Chen and Long Yuan. Apart from the huge amount of Hongmeng that was consumed when activating the formation could automatically connect to the vast Hongmeng aura in the Hongmeng Lake. There was no need to take care of them at all. Long Chen and Long Mu merely stood in the light circle and felt a stronger and more vigorous Hongmeng aura than when they stood beside the Hongmeng Lake. If the side of the primordial lake was the best place to cultivate, then the inside of the aperture was even better. Long Chen guessed that the reason why people built this formation tens of thousands of years ago was simply to obtain the pure Hongmeng aura and the Hongmeng aura. Using it as a raw material for practice, it could really achieve twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, once the formation was activated, the light curtain that was formed around it was unusually strong. If Long Chen did not take the initiative to stop the formation, only the experts from Hongmeng Tianjing would have a chance to break the formation. Long Chen felt the Hongmeng aura contained in the formation and could not help but envy the people who had practiced here tens of thousands of years ago. On one hand, there was such an excellent place to practice, and on the other hand, there was such an indestructible protection. Even a fool would have a great increase in strength if he practiced in the light circle for a few years. Moreover, this time, Long Chen and Long Yuan had entered the light circle. Although the formation has not been activated for tens of thousands of years, the foundation of the formation is perfect. It is really amazing that the formation can produce such a great power just by activating it, Long Mu said in the Dragon Palace with a face full of envy. Long Chen nodded. After looking around, he felt that the people from the Four Seas tribe would not be able to enter for a while, so he was completely relieved. Long Chen directly sat down in the light circle and completely released his mind. He integrated his Hongmeng into the huge light circle and immediately felt the pure Hongmeng aura that was absorbed from the Hongmeng lake. This kind of Hongmeng aura could be directly absorbed by Long Chen without a trace of filtration. Long Yuan also put away the Sky Demon Dragon Spear and sat down cross-legged not far from Long Chen. Feeling the Hongmeng aura around him, Long Yuan's eyes were a little fiery. To be able to see such a scene, Long Yuan's entry into the small spiritual world was not in vain. Moreover, more importantly, Long Yuan was now in an urgent need to increase his strength. Although the demonic dragon's inheritance in his body had been temporarily suppressed, However, if Long Yuan's strength continued to increase at such a slow pace, the demonic dragon's inheritance in his body would not be able to display its full strength. Those people outside obviously have other plans. Long Mu's mind probed outside the light circle and felt somewhat helpless. Who cares about that? There is no need. Long Chen smiled and said, if they could break the light circle of the formation, I'm afraid that they would have entered long ago. Long Chen was the person who cast this formation, so he naturally understood the power of this formation. With just 5 experts from Hongmeng Yuan Jia, they would not be able to touch this formation at all. Now, Long Chen's most important goal was to increase his strength in this formation's light circle. If he could break through to Hongmeng Yuan Jia and then successfully condense his own domain, those people outside would not be a match for Long Chen at all. Long Chen was not being arrogant, but rather, it was a kind of confidence. When Long Chen was in Hongmeng's consolidation realm, he had fought with people from Hongmeng Yuan Jia several times and was not completely defeated. He even killed a Hongmeng Yuan Jia expert like Elder Qi Yin. Now, Long Chen did not care about Hai Si and Hai Su outside. If he could advance to Hongmeng Yuan Jia, Long Chen knew that he would have the power to compete with those large tribes in this small spiritual world. Only in this way would he be able to grasp the deepest secrets of this small spiritual world. Thinking of this, Long Chen did not hesitate and immediately began to absorb the vast Hongmeng Qi in this vast Hongmeng lake. When the Hongmeng Qi entered Long Chen's body, it immediately condensed into a continuous stream of warmth that continuously nourished Long Chen's meridians. For Long Chen's cultivation, this Hongmeng Qi was much better than the cultivation in Hongmeng's polar region. In terms of the density of the Hongmeng Qi, the Hongmeng Qi in this light circle was much denser than the Hongmeng outside. It was also because of this that the speed and effectiveness of cultivation here were definitely better than outside. As the pure Hongmeng Qi entered Long Chen's body, a layer of Hongmeng Qi appeared around his body and condensed directly in the light circle. In Long Chen's meridians, they were gradually expanded by the pure Hongmeng Qi. Tiny pillars of Hongmeng Qi were also quietly born. Long Chen's current strength was at the 6th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. After this period of cultivation and refining in the spiritual realm ruins, Long Chen's strength was also on the verge of a breakthrough. However, Long Chen had been suppressing the trend of a breakthrough. He didn't really want a breakthrough so early. Long Chen understood that cultivation was like building a house. The building at the bottom was the most important. Otherwise, even if the building was more beautiful and tall, it would be useless. Just like Elder Qi Yin from before, he was a living example. Now, Long Chen's body was surrounded by endless Hongmeng Qi. In here, Long Chen could do whatever he wanted and forge his cultivation very firmly. The vast Hongmeng Qi quickly flowed into Long Chen's meridians. The dense Hongmeng Qi also began to circulate in Long Chen's body. Even the Hongmeng Qi around Long Chen's body gradually fluctuated. Feeling the Qi in his body, Long Chen also focused his mind and didn't dare to relax. Long Chen understood that the Qi in his body was because he had reached the limit of what he could accept from Hongmeng. Only by accepting new Hongmeng on this foundation could he successfully raise his strength. In this way, Long Chen's mind moved slightly and a golden light suddenly appeared around his body. In just a short while, Long Chen's entire body was enveloped by this golden light. Primal Chaos Golden Codex. The current Primal Chaos Golden Codex had been gradually perfected under Long Chen's cultivation. he had successfully cultivated it to the large success stage and was close to perfection. If Longchen fully unleashed the power of the primal chaos golden codex, he didn't dare to estimate how powerful it would be. Longchen had always felt that a cultivation technique like the primal chaos golden codex was the strongest cultivation technique in the world. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1635. Just as Long Chen and Long Yuan entered a deep level of cultivation, Long Mu, who had been silent in the Dragon Palace, jumped out curiously to explore the mystery of the Hongmeng Lake. Baidu search, although he did not know the secrets of the Hongmeng Lake, just the aura of souls that existed in it was enough to make Long Mu fall head over heels for it. As long as he absorbed the aura related to souls, Long Mu's spiritual body would become stronger. If Long Chen could really find the soul awakening grass for Long Mu in the future, Long Mu would have a higher chance of forming a physical body. Looking at Long Chen, who was deep in cultivation, Long Mu did not want to disturb him. After all, the most important thing now was to seize the time to absorb the aura of souls. Within the dragon's tomb's spiritual body, wisps of drifting red light flickered from time to time. The spiritual body's entire body was constantly grabbing the surrounding soul aura, absorbing the energy within bit by bit, using it to nourish itself. Although the difficulty of absorbing the aura of souls was much higher than absorbing the aura of Hongmeng, and even Long Mu's absorption was very slow, it was better than nothing. The current environment couldn't be better for the dragon's tomb. Looking at Long Chen and Long Yuan, who were working hard to refine the aura of Hongmeng, Long Mu felt a little envious. Once upon a time, Long Mu was a well-known figure in the heavenly extreme realm. With the power of his father, Long Mu could almost be called a god's favored son. Now, if Long Mu wanted to refine and absorb the aura of Hongmeng like Long Chen and Long Yuan, he had to have a physical body, even if it was a human body. Since there is news of the soul awakening grass, no matter what, I have to get to the bottom of it. Long Mu's eyes were dignified, as if he was recalling what happened tens of thousands of years ago. At that time, Long Mu would never have thought that he would fall to such a state one day. Hongmeng, Lin Meng, you two old bastards, no matter where you are, when I recover my strength, the first thing I, Long Mu, will do is kill you. Long Mu thought of the two main culprits who had caused him to fall to such a state, and a trace of anger appeared in his eyes. How dare you attack my Longmeng polar region and even force my father to ignite his reincarnation cycle? This debt will be repaid 1,000 times over. Everything that had happened in the past seemed to appear in Long Mu's eyes. If his father had not ignited his reincarnation cycle at the last moment, the Longmeng polar region would have been destroyed. Now, if Long Chen hadn't coincidentally opened the ruins of the Longmeng polar region, obtained the inheritance of the Dragon Tomb, and embedded the Dragon Clan's treasure, the Dragon Palace, into his body, the Dragon Tomb would have been no different from being dead. However, since the heavens had allowed Long Mu to wake up, Long Mu had to take revenge for this blood feud. As he absorbed the soul aura in the Hongmeng Lake and recalled the past, Long Mu felt much more comfortable. Looking at the two people who were still working hard to cultivate beside him, Long Mu felt a little Hongmeng fluctuation beside Tu Mia, and nodded with satisfaction. Both of their auras were steadily rising. Long Yuan had the demonic dragon inheritance, and the realm required to be at least Hongmeng Yuan Jie. After all, the Hongmeng dragon clan from tens of thousands of years ago was born with the strength of Hongmeng Yuan Jie. As for Long Yuan, with the strength of Hongmeng's consolidation realm, he naturally felt a little powerless to bear the power of the demonic dragon inheritance. Long Yuan completely opened up his mind and turned all his attention to Hongmeng. In any case, the Hongmeng Lake was endless. Even if Long Yuan cultivated here for 10,000 years, he probably wouldn't be able to move the Hongmeng Lake in the slightest. On the other hand, Long Chen's speed of refining Hongmeng was even more direct than Long Yuan's. Long Chen directly used all his acupoints to absorb Hongmeng. He seemed to have entered a state of selflessness. In this way, even a Hongmeng chaotic prime could easily kill Long Chen. However, with Long Chen's progress, perhaps Long Chen would be able to break through to the 9th level of Hong Meng's consolidation realm very soon. He would then be able to begin comprehending the mysteries of the domain. Do your best, Long Chen, Long Yuan. Whether or not I, Long Mu, can be reborn depends on the two of you. The two of you are the top geniuses of the Hong Meng Dragon Clan. Although your strength can't surpass mine now, I believe that there will be a day when your strength will far surpass mine. Long Chen looked at the two of them cultivating and smiled slightly. Time flew by like a snap of a finger. As Long Chen and Long Yuan cultivated day and night, 3 days passed just like that. During these 3 days, the two of them didn't make a single move. There was only the majestic fluctuations of Hong Meng. Presumably, in this extremely quiet light circle, the surroundings of the Hong Meng Lake outside the light circle were abnormally noisy. It had to be said that the Hong Meng Lake had become the most attractive place in the spiritual realm ruins. Almost everyone who saw the existence of the Hong Meng Lake would be unable to move after sensing the Hong Meng Lake within the Hong Meng Lake at first glance. Therefore, many people directly began to cultivate beside the Hong Meng Lake. Gradually, people began to yearn for the depths of the Hong Meng Lake. One by one, they plucked up their courage and went to the depths of the lake. Unfortunately, the lake water within the Hong Meng Lake was a resounding slap to these people's faces. Therefore, these people could only begin to cultivate at the edge of the Hong Meng Lake. However, there were still people who discovered the mysterious light circle around the Hong Meng Lake. After inquiring about the use of the light circle, the people of the Four Seas tribe stood up. First, they explained the origin of the light circle to everyone. Then, they added fuel to the fire and ridiculed Long Chen, who was inside the light circle. As a result, those who yearned to directly refine the Hong Meng Lake hated Long Chen to the bone. While Long Chen Wu was cultivating, the cultivation light circle that he exited was already surrounded by many people. In the middle of these people were the people of the Four Seas tribe that Long Chen had previously provoked. Obviously, the Four Seas tribe wanted to borrow everyone's strength to drag Long Chen down. It seemed like Hai Su and Hai Si weren't people who were willing to suffer losses. Chapter 1636. The surroundings of the huge Hong Meng Lake were already filled with people who were cultivating. They were meditating with their legs crossed and absorbing the endless Hong Meng aura beside the lake. Baidu search, in order to find a good spot to cultivate beside the Hong Meng Lake, some people did not even hesitate to fight. Moreover, in order to absorb the Hong Meng aura from the Hong Meng Lake more easily, some people did not hesitate to head to the depths of the lake. However, they were quickly blocked by the lake's walls. This time, the opening of the spiritual world remains had obviously broken the silence of this place for tens of thousands of years. At the same time, it had also allowed the Hong Meng Lake to reappear in the world. Currently, there were already close to 300 people gathered around the Hong Meng Lake. Their gazes were all fixed on the vast Hong Meng Lake. In this place, they could feel the purest Hong Meng aura. Just standing here was enough to make them feel energetic. These people came from over 50 tribes. There were all sorts of people. Brother Hai Su, is that person called Long Chen really in this light circle? Among the crowd, a relatively strong man first glanced at the light circle beside the Hong Meng Lake, then turned around and asked the person behind him. Wang Lai, is that kid called Lin Dong really hiding in there? In the crowd, a skinny man glanced at the cultivation platform with a sinister gaze. After which, he tilted his head and asked the person beside him. The person behind him was Hai Su. For the past 3 days, there was not a moment when Hai Su did not want to drag Long Chen out of the light circle and chop him into pieces. However, the energy of the light circle was too strong. With Hai Su's ability, it was impossible for him to break it. Now, as more and more people gathered around the Hong Meng Lake, after Hai Su's provocation, Long Chen's life within the light circle was in danger. Hai Su did not even need to lift a finger. Of course, I saw with my own eyes that this kid activated this large formation and hid in the light circle. Moreover, when he was fighting with Long Chen, he used a powerful formation. For a moment, we were unable to deal with it. By Lippo, doesn't your 100-mile tribe like formations the most? If you can understand the formation in Long Chen's hands, it will definitely be of great help. At this time, Haisu jumped to another tribe. Oh, a formation that can actually trap you all. It seems that it is indeed very powerful. The man called by Lippo laughed sinisterly and said, I heard that Long Chen was able to defeat a Hong Meng Yuan Jie person with the strength of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie. Now that you mention it, I do indeed want to see how powerful this kid called Long is. Long, the man called by Lippo laughed. Ha, cousin, you are quite concerned about this Long Chen. No matter how strong he is only a Hong Meng consolidation realm person. Cousin, you are a person from the 5th layer of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie. No matter how powerful he is, there is no way he can compare to you. Beside Bai Lippo, a thin and weak man laughed. Don't flatter me. Bai Lippo laughed and said, Bai Lian, the environment here is so good. Instead of cultivating properly, you actually have the time to rest. Moreover, in this small spiritual world, you must not underestimate anyone. Since Long Chen was able to defeat Mu Wenhua, he naturally has his own trump card. You must not underestimate him. The two of you, please don't quarrel. If you ask me, that kid Long Chen does indeed have some strength. However, we are at least Hong Meng Yuan Jie people. Moreover, everyone here has the advantage of numbers. As long as we join forces, unless this Long Chen can explode with the strength of the Hong Meng Tianjing, he will not be able to escape death in the end. When Haisu said this, the corners of his mouth could not help but curl up slightly. If this matter succeeds, I hope that brother Bai Lippo can take over this large formation that connects to the Hong Meng Lake, so that the people of the Four Seas tribe can also enter and cultivate. Hearing this, Bai Lippo smiled from the bottom of his heart and said, Of course, of course. This large formation connects to the Hong Meng Lake. It directly injects the Hong Meng Qi from the depths of the lake directly into this light circle, thus avoiding the intrusion of the lake water. It is indeed a paradise. Whether it was Haisu, Haisi, Bai Lippo, or the others, they were all extremely curious about this mysterious light circle. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the Hong Meng Qi behind this light circle was definitely much stronger than outside. However, if they could enter this light circle to cultivate, it would be able to make the people present feel relaxed and happy. After looking at this light circle for a while, Haisu opened his mouth again and said, I heard that the people of the Sunkenwood tribe have also appeared around here. It seems that they will arrive at the Hong Meng Lake very soon. I sent people to inquire about it yesterday. I didn't expect that Mu Wenhua actually obtained some kind of treasure in this spiritual world relic and actually broke through to the 4th level of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie in one fell swoop. In my opinion, if he knows that Long Chen is inside this light circle, I'm afraid he will rush over like flying. What? Mu Wenhua has already broken through to the 4th level of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie? Hearing this, Bai Lippo's eyes were slightly shocked. What? Is it inappropriate for Mu Wenhua to break through to the 4th level of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie? The Hong Meng Qi in this spiritual world relic is so thick. Even I have the intention of breaking through to the next level, Haisu said loudly. Bai Lippo shook his head and said, Brother Haisu, you may not know this, but the Sunkenwood tribe hasn't had a person break through to the 5th level of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie in nearly 50 years. Since Mu Wenhua can break through to the 4th level this time, presumably he also has some expectations for the 5th level. The Sunkenwood tribe has a special technique for the people of the 5th level of the Hong Meng Yuan Jie to cultivate. Its power is comparable to that of the Hong Meng Tianjing. Oh? Hearing this, Haisu couldn't help but be very happy. If it was really like what Bai Lippo said, then this Long Chen, who had once made Mu Wenhua lose face, would definitely become the target of Mu Wenhua's desire to tear apart. Now that Mu Wenhua had the strength, he would definitely be able to do many things to Long Chen. This Long Chen once made Mu Wenhua so humiliated. Presumably, Mu Wenhua can't wait to tear this brat into pieces. But this brat reaps what he sows. When the people of the Sunkenwood tribe arrive, I'll tell Mu Wenhua about this. This time, I'll definitely give this Long Chen a pleasant surprise. Haisu's gaze was gloomy as he looked at the enormous Hong Meng circle of light in front of him. The curve at the corner of his mouth had already become increasingly sinister. It was as if Haisu could already see the appearance of Long Chen being stepped on by Mu Wenhua in a few days. Long Chen, if you have the ability, then hide in this circle of light for the rest of your life. Haisu said angrily. Chapter 1637. While people outside the circle of light were scheming against Long Chen, who was inside the circle of light, was still in a state of selflessness. He was almost a crazy cultivator. In just 3 short days, this crazy cultivation was almost on par with all the cultivation that Long Chen had done in the 2 months since he entered the small spiritual realm. It was enough to see how pure the Hongmeng aura contained in this Hongmeng lake was. It was also because of this that Long Chen's strength had also advanced many times in these few short days. From the initial 6th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm, Long Chen was now at the 9th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. With just one more step, Long Chen would be a powerhouse in the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. However, Long Chen did not dare to advance so easily. Long Chen knew that advancing to the Hongmeng Yuan Jie was an extremely important matter, especially when it came to condensing the Hongmeng territory. Long Chen did not dare to let his guard down. The importance of the territory to the Hongmeng Yuan Jie was self-evident. Just the lesson of Elder Qi Yan alone was enough to make Long Chen constantly vigilant. It was also because of this that Long Chen had begun to comprehend the phenomenon of the territory when his strength had advanced to the 9th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. The so-called territory was when a powerhouse used the vast Hongmeng energy to condense the energy gathered in his meridians. Thus, the territory was separated from the body as a part of the body. In this way, people could control their own territory as easily as they could control their own bodies. It was really difficult to understand the mystery of the territory. This kind of thing could only be understood and not explained. For thousands of years, many people had stopped at the 9th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm and were unable to condense the territory in their entire lives. To Long Chen was not willing to be such a person. Long Chen sat cross-legged in the middle of the circle of light. The pure Hongmeng aura from the Hongmeng lake surrounded Long Chen's body. Vaguely, there seemed to be some warm currents flowing within Long Chen's body. From time to time, there would be a dazzling golden light flickering on Long Chen's golden body. After which, it would disappear from the world in an instant. This was Long Chen trying to condense his domain. Waves of Hongmeng appeared, just like a small domain. Although Long Chen's current understanding of domains was still at the beginning, in any case, Long Chen had finally touched the doorway. He kept trying and innovating. With the support of the Primal Chaos Golden Codex, Long Chen naturally had a natural advantage in comprehending domains. Long Chen gradually understood that a domain was like a powerful array formation. In the process of condensing a domain, it was like using an extremely powerful defensive array formation, just like the monstrous starlight array that Long Chen used. Occupying a space for oneself and being able to control it according to one's will was the same as controlling a domain. However, being able to condense this space really gave Long Chen a headache. There was no one to guide him. In fact, he could not let others guide him. This kind of thing was always better than being helped by others. In the vast world, everything in the world had its own master. Even a small space did not belong to Long Chen. How to open up a space that did not belong to him was the first thing that Long Chen needed to consider. As the golden light around him exploded layer by layer, Long Chen's idea of condensing a domain also gradually reached a higher level. Finally, Long Chen understood the most important idea. The so-called condensing a domain was not to create something from the vast world, but to see something from it. Just as Long Chen previously understood, in the world, nothing belonged to him. Even the Hongmeng in his body did not belong to him, let alone the domain that he condensed with the Hongmeng power. The so-called domain was probably a piece of space that was seized from the world, a space that no one else could control except for himself. Rather than condensing a domain, it was better to call it a devouring domain. Devouring. Thinking of this word, Long Chen's mind stirred. Long ago, Long Chen came across this idea. It was when he cultivated the heavenly dragon skill to the 9th part. Once the 9th golden dragon was born, it directly devoured the other 8 golden dragons and unleashed a huge devouring power. Was this devouring related to the devouring of the domain? Where did the 8 golden dragons that were devoured go? Why did it devour the 8 golden dragons? Could it be that the 8 golden dragons were only the beginning of the 9th golden dragon? Where did the 600 devouring power come from? What was devouring? Gradually, Longchen thought of the mystery of the heavenly dragon skill from the process of comprehending the domain. Just like what Long Yuan had said before, if the heavenly dragon skill could only be cultivated to the 8th part, then why was there a 9th part of the skill? Was the 9th part of the heavenly dragon skill really like this? As he thought about it, Longchen condensed the remaining golden dragon in his body. Even though the 9th golden dragon had devoured the other 8 golden dragons, Longchen still felt that the 9th golden dragon was not comparable to any of the 8 heavenly dragons. In that case, where did the power contained in the golden dragons that were devoured go? Returning it to the world? Or seizing it from the world? Longchen could not figure it out for a long time. Was the creation of the domain to devour or to condense? Just like the 9th golden dragon, this question lingered in Longchen's mind. At this moment, Longchen unexpectedly felt a power that existed above the light circle. Just like the domain, the light circle also sealed the space. The people outside could not enter, and the people inside could not leave. Could this space become a domain? If it could, should it be devoured or condensed? Just like the 9th golden dragon, should it condense or devour the 8 golden dragons that were devoured? Gradually, Longchen seemed to understand something. Looking at the 9th golden dragon beside him, Longchen felt a familiar aura. It was the aura of the 8 golden dragons, the aura that once surrounded Longchen's dragon halberd. In other words, the 8 golden dragons that were devoured did not disappear. On the 9th golden dragon, Longchen seemed to have grasped a trick, and this trick was Longchen's opportunity. In his mind, the information of the heavenly spirit technique flashed past, and Longchen's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. The 9th golden dragon roared and rose. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1638. This is the 9th section of the Heavenly Dragon? Could it be that Longchen has comprehended the mystery of the last section of the Heavenly Dragon arts? Longmu looked at the 9th golden dragon that suddenly whizzed out from Longchen's body and couldn't help but be a little surprised. At this moment, there were no outsiders in the circle of light. Longchen definitely wouldn't have materialized the 9th golden dragon for no reason. The only explanation was that Longchen already had a deeper understanding of the heavenly dragon arts. Moreover, it was an important understanding of the direction of the heavenly dragon arts. Longmu had also cultivated the heavenly dragon arts before, and he knew the difficulty of cultivating to the 8th section of the heavenly dragon arts. According to his knowledge, only his father, Long Meng, had truly cultivated to the 9th section of the heavenly dragon arts, and that was it. And now, Longchen actually had some understanding of the 9th section of the heavenly dragon, which really surprised Longmu. In the light circle, Longchen's entire body was golden. The Hong Meng in his body was obviously activated to the extreme, and there was a strong vibration of Hong Meng beside his body. Even Longmu, who had been quietly absorbing the spiritual aura of the Hong Meng lake, was suddenly awakened, not to mention Long Yuan, who was beside Longchen. Long Yuan looked at Longchen, who was now golden, and asked Longmu, "Master, what's wrong?" Longmu shook his head with a smile and said, "It's nothing. Longchen is comprehending the mystery of the last section of the heavenly dragon arts. You don't have to cultivate for now, and just watch. When you cultivate to the 9th section of the heavenly dragon arts, perhaps you will have some understanding of your own." Long Yuan nodded. Naturally, he wasn't worried about Longchen. In these few years, no matter what kind of difficulties and dangers he encountered, Longchen was able to resolve them one by one. Long Yuan also had a lot of trust in Longchen. Looking at the roaring golden dragon above, Longmu suddenly asked Long Yuan, "What's your current level of strength?" Hongmeng Consolidation Realm Level 7. I advanced too quickly, and it's not very stable. However, with my current strength, I should be able to control the demonic dragon inheritance. Long Yuan replied with some joy. Not bad, you didn't disappoint me. In all likelihood, your master's progress is still faster. He is now at Hongmeng Consolidation Realm Level 9. He is only one step away from being able to condense his domain and advance to Hongmeng Yuan Jie. Long Mu said with a smile. Among the physiques of Long Chen and Long Yuan, Long Chen had the heavenly dragon physique, which appeared only once every 10 million years in the dragon tribe. Long Yuan had the even rarer ancestral physique. Long Mu didn't know which one of them was stronger. After all, these two physiques had never met for tens of millions of years. Both of you are 1 in a million. Long Mu sighed. In his heart, he couldn't help but look forward to Long Chen and Long Yuan's future achievements. At the same time, Long Mu also looked forward to the future of the Hongmeng dragon tribe. Just as Long Mu and Long Yuan were talking, the 9th golden dragon hovered above the light circle for a long time. Suddenly, the golden dragon's body emitted waves of violent Hongmeng waves. The entire dragon's body was also restless. Then, Long Mu and Long Yuan saw that a light curtain of Hongmeng had condensed within Long Chen's body. It was floating slowly. This light curtain of Hongmeng was condensed by Long Chen. In other words, it was a domain that Long Chen had devoured. It was just like how the 9th golden dragon had devoured the 8th golden dragon. The so-called devouring and condensing were just taking something completely for oneself. The 9th golden dragon devouring the 8th golden dragon was just the beginning of the heavenly dragon's secret art. It was taking the power of the 8 golden dragons for itself. But who did the 9th golden dragon belong to? The answer was certain. The 9th golden dragon belonged to Long Chen. In other words, all the golden dragons belonged to Long Chen. Long Chen, have you really found the way to the 9th part of the heavenly dragon's secret art? Long Mu asked loudly. Long Chen opened his eyes and nodded slightly. He said, although I'm not too sure, I feel that what I'm doing is right. This. Long Mu was a little surprised. Although he did not know where Long Chen's confidence came from, Long Chen had already activated the 9th golden dragon to its limit. If he could not successfully activate the heavenly dragon's secret art, the last golden dragon would disappear from the world. In that case, Long Chen would completely lose the heavenly dragon's secret art. In this way, although it was not a big loss to Long Chen, it was indeed a huge disappointment to Long Mu. For thousands of years, only Long Meng had successfully cultivated the 9th part of the heavenly dragon's secret art. If Long Chen could successfully cultivate it, it would more or less give Long Mu some psychological comfort. However, Long Mu's worries quickly disappeared. This was because he saw a few different golden lights flickering in Long Chen's body. These lights were dazzling and the energy within them was simply immeasurable. Amidst the dazzling golden lights, Long Chen's eyes also flickered with traces of beautiful light. At the same time, the golden dragon in the sky roared again. The dragon's roar was earth-shattering. Hongmeng in the light circle fluctuated wave after wave, as if it was going to shatter the sky. The lights in Long Chen's body also turned into golden dragons that could be seen with the naked eye as the 9th golden dragon roared. This is the 8th-division heavenly dragon? Seeing that familiar figure, Long Mu was clearly stunned for a moment before he spoke in astonishment. Whoosh! In the sky, with every movement of the golden dragon, the Hongmeng energy around it gradually condensed. A wave of devouring power immediately burst out from the golden dragon's body and began to wantonly devour the Hongmeng aura and the Hongmeng lake. At the same time, the 8th-division heavenly dragon in Long Chen's body also gradually took shape. At this moment, it was like the battle between Long Chen and the golden dragon. The 8 golden dragons did not disappear. Instead, they chose to exist in Long Chen's body in another way. Now that Long Chen knew this secret, he used the 9th golden dragon to activate all the Hongmeng energy in his body and recast the Hongmeng's devouring power. He successfully condensed the 8 golden dragons that had accompanied Long Chen in battle. A low and deep dragon roar was emitted from Long Chen's body in waves. The 8 golden dragons finally awoke from their slumber within Long Chen's somewhat frail body. They rose into the sky in one go. In the sky, the 9 golden dragons finally gathered. After this method of cultivation, the heavenly dragon art had finally been cultivated to the advanced level in Long Chen's hands. The 9 golden dragons devoured the endless Hongmeng aura in the Hongmeng lake. The dragon's roar gradually rose. The golden dragons circled and danced in the sky, invincible. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1639. Long Chen's figure, which was sitting cross-legged in the halo, stood up the moment the 9 golden dragons soared between heaven and earth. Raising his head to look at the sky, the 9 golden dragons roared as they faintly formed Hongmeng ripples, directly rolling out gusts of strong wind. The golden dragons' bodies emitted an incomparably bright light, and the majestic aura released from their bodies was unstoppable. At this moment, the heavenly dragon art could be considered to have been truly completed. Long Chen felt that if these 9 golden dragons were to be added to the dragon halberd, the energy released from it would be enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Moreover, if these 9 golden dragons were to use the mysterious dragon sacred flame together, what kind of scene would it be? Long Chen was somewhat looking forward to it. Huff, the 9 golden dragons continued to circle in the air. Compared to before, who knew how many times more powerful they were, Long Chen could clearly feel it. The 9 golden dragon fish Long Chen's heart acupoints were connected, and Long Chen was the only master who could control these 9 golden dragons. Rise! Long Chen let out a low roar. In the air, the 9 golden dragons suddenly rose to the sky, and the Hongmeng ripples within the halo once again fluctuated. The 9 golden dragons roared out, and directly circled around the halo. The primordial lake in the distance seemed to have sensed the enormous power carried by the 9 golden dragons, and it actually trembled together. This attack, even if it was an expert from the Hongmeng Yuan Jia who encountered it, his expression could not help but become more serious. After this attack, Long Chen's mind moved, and he directly jumped up to the same height as the 9 golden dragons. Looking at these 9 golden dragons at such a close distance, and feeling the majestic aura they emitted, Long Chen could not help but smile. The current Long Chen, if he were to face an expert from the Hongmeng Yuan Jia again, even if he was surrounded by the opponent's domain, Long Chen was confident that he could defeat them with the heavenly dragon art. After all, the 9 golden dragons that Long Chen possessed were in some way. In terms of degree, it was equivalent to 9 domains. It was at this moment that Long Chen saw what was happening outside the circle of light. Seeing so many people all of a sudden, Long Chen was a little surprised. However, on second thought, this was normal. After all, this Hongmeng Lake was a rare sight that only appeared once every 10,000 years. Cultivating here was almost 10 times better than cultivating elsewhere. At the same time, Long Chen also saw Hai Su, Hai Si, and the others in the middle of the crowd. It was because of these people from the Four Seas tribe that Long Chen had no choice but to enter the circle of light. Therefore, Long Chen also had to thank these people. With a thought, Long Chen temporarily hid the 9 golden dragons, and he gradually landed on the ground. When Long Mu and Long Yuan saw Long Chen land, they quickly came over. Long Mu could not wait to ask, is it really the 9th part of the heavenly dragon art? Although looking at the scene just now, Long Mu was almost 100% confident in his heart, he could not help but be curious and wanted to confirm it with Long Chen. Yes. Long Chen smiled and nodded. After successfully breaking through the difficult problem of the 9th part of the heavenly dragon art, Long Chen's current strength was at Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 9. Compared to before entering the circle of light, it was simply incomparable. 100,000 years, 100,000 years. Long Mu was extremely excited and said, Long Chen, you actually did it. I understand, that heavenly dragon art is indeed a rare technique. Although the 9th part of the technique is somewhat profound, as long as one can decipher its mystery, one can open up a new world. Long Chen nodded and said, That's great. Even though you haven't advanced to the primordial origin realm with your current strength, you're still capable of fighting someone at the primordial origin realm. In this way, you'll be able to come and go as you please in the spirit world ruins without fear of others. Thank you for your intrusion, Long Mu said excitedly. Long Chen was very happy. Long Chen glanced at Long Yuan beside him and felt a little Long Yuan's strength. Hong Meng's consolidation realm level 7 also made Long Chen happy. He said, Long Yuan, you also cultivate the heavenly dragon art. If you cultivate to the 9th part of the technique, there will be no need for you to cultivate it. Go ahead and comprehend it well. If you don't understand, come and ask me. Long Yuan was very happy and quickly said, Thank you, Master. Long Yuan had advanced to Hong Meng's consolidation realm level 7, while he himself had advanced to Hong Meng's consolidation realm level 9. The results of the training this time around had far exceeded Long Chen's expectations. Long Chen was now confident that even if he encountered the man in black who had an unknown origin and an astonishing aura, Long Chen was confident that he could fight him fair and square. This was the confidence of one's strength. That's enough. We've stayed here for so long. Although this place is not bad and is very suitable for cultivation, there must be even better things waiting for us in this spirit world remnant. Besides, there are people waiting for us outside. Long Chen said. A trace of coldness flashed in his eyes as he looked outside the light circle. When Long Mu and Long Yuan heard this, they understood Long Chen's meaning and immediately nodded. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, outside the light circle, the outside world was not aware of the movement caused by Long Chen's heavenly dragon skill when he advanced. Hai Su, Hai Si, and the others were still standing outside the light circle with the people from the 100-Mile tribe. They were constantly staring at the indestructible light circle with coldness in their eyes. Does Long Chen really plan to cultivate in this light circle for the rest of his life? Hai Su's patience had almost been worn down. The hatred he had for Long Chen in his eyes had also become increasingly intense. They had waited here for Long Chen for 3 days. If it was outside the spirit world ruins, it would not be a big deal. However, this was the spirit world ruins. There were so many spiritual treasures and opportunities here. Although the Hongmeng Lake was good, there were still more things waiting for them. However, there were still more things waiting for them in the spiritual realm ruins. It was really infuriating to waste time here like this. When the people beside Hai Su heard these words, they also nodded their heads with desolate expressions. The 3 days of waiting had really made them feel somewhat unwilling. Brother Hai Su, don't worry. From what I see, this large formation is connected to the Hongmeng Lake. If the people inside do not take the initiative to stop it, although it is difficult to stop it from the outside, the 100-Mile tribe has our own ways. If Long Chen does not come out, I have my own ways to make him come out. Bailipa said with a sinister face. As long as we can obtain the formation in Long Chen's hands and control this 10,000-year-old formation, even if we have to wait for a few days, it will not be a loss. Bailipa laughed. Brother Bailipa is really patient. Alright, let's wait for him for another day. I want to see how much his strength has increased in 3 days. Hai Su said angrily. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1640. Just as Hai Su, Hai Si, and the others were talking about the circle of light that had not changed for 3 consecutive days finally had a strange movement. Above the circle of light, there was an obvious movement. Because of this vibration, the Hongmeng Lake around Hongmeng began to fluctuate. Hai Su hurriedly looked over. His expression was overjoyed as he anxiously said, This brat, he finally couldn't hold back anymore. He finally came out to die. Oh? As his voice fell, Hai Si and the others were also shocked. They hurriedly looked at the circle of light at the side. The circle of light that originally enveloped Hongmeng Lake was actually gradually fading. The indestructible aura that it gave people was also rapidly fading away. As expected, the great array has stopped. This brat will come out soon. Bailipa exclaimed. Not only were the people from the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe very concerned about the Great Array's strange movement, but almost all the tribes present were looking at this Great Array in astonishment. They had arrived very late and naturally did not see how Long Chen activated this Great Array. Some people who did not know the truth even thought that this Great Array had always been there. Now, the Great Array was about to disappear. Everyone who was cultivating at the Hongmeng Lake was closely watching this scene. Some people who knew the inside story also yearned to be able to enter this Great Array and cultivate for a period of time. However, they had it. The Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe, these two powerful large tribes, were guarding this place. Even if these people yearned for it, they knew that this kind of opportunity was almost impossible. During these 3 days, these people clearly saw that the people from the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe had been waiting here. As for Long Chen, who was in the formation, these people also had some understanding of him. He was able to find 2 pieces of jade and use Hongmeng to unify them. These people also admired him for defeating Mu Wenhua with the strength of a boundary state. The Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe had formed an alliance. It was clear that they did not intend to let Long Chen live. They had waited for 3 days, obviously intending to kill Long Chen the moment he came out. It was also because of this that when these people saw the power of the Great Array gradually disappear, they became extremely curious about Long Chen's encounter. The circle of light finally completely disappeared. After that, 2 figures appeared in everyone's vision. "I've made everyone wait." A low shout was heard, and it immediately resounded in the world. Bai Li Pe immediately leaped into the air. Hai Su and Hai Si also leaped into the air. "Long Chen, you're finally willing to come out." Hai Su's gaze was gloomy and his face had a sinister smile. "Of course I have to come out. I'm really embarrassed to keep everyone waiting like this," Long Chen said with a smile. Hai Si coldly snorted and said, "Long Chen, you won't be able to laugh soon. Since you dared to come out, don't even think about going in this time." Long Chen glanced at Hai Si and shook his head, saying, "Since I've come out, of course I won't go in again. However, it seems like you guys really want to go in. Alright, it's not difficult to let you guys go in. An apology is enough. Looks like this Long Chen is really arrogant. A primordial convergence realm, 9th level? How can it be 9th level?" Bai Li Po was about to ridicule him, but he was surprised to discover a shocking phenomenon. Hongmeng's consolidation realm, which he obtained from Hai Su and Hai Si. Long Chen, who was at first realm level 6, was now at Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 9. He had only stayed in this Great Array for 3 days. 3 days, 3 levels. After hearing Bai Li Po's words, Hai Su and Hai Si also noticed the aura emitted from Long Chen's body. They were so shocked that they couldn't close their mouths. This kid's strength has increased so quickly. How is this possible? Hai Si said in awe. It must be the effect of the Great Array. This Great Array was left behind 10,000 years ago. This kid is very lucky to be able to cultivate in this Great Array for 3 days. That's why he has such an achievement. Hai Su said unwillingly. When Bai Li Po heard this, a hint of greed appeared in his eyes as he looked at the Great Array. Hai Su's eyes were filled with killing intent. He stared at Long Chen, who was standing proudly between heaven and earth. He could feel the Hongmeng aura emitting from Long Chen's body, which was much stronger than it was 3 days ago. His mind couldn't calm down for a long time. If he were to cultivate in this Great Array for 3 days, he would probably be able to achieve the same thing. But now, this Great Array from 10,000 years ago was given to Long Chen for free. Hai Su was very unwilling to accept this. There's no need to talk nonsense with this kid. Hurry up and attack. After we kill this kid, we can get whatever we want, Hai Su said coldly. After he finished speaking, Hai Su seemed to be worried that Long Chen would escape. He immediately moved and attacked Long Chen. In Hai Su's eyes, as long as Long Chen hadn't been promoted to the Hongmeng Yuan Jia, Long Chen was an easy target for him. Seeing that Hai Su had attacked, Bai Li Po reacted quickly. He immediately followed Hai Su and attacked. Hai Su had previously mentioned to him that Long Chen possessed a powerful array. Bai Lipa had long coveted it. At first, Hai Si didn't move. Instead, he looked at Long Chen with a cold expression. When he recalled the humiliation Long Chen and Long Yuan brought to him a few days ago, Hai Si couldn't help but feel angry. He immediately gathered the Hong Meng around him and wanted to catch them off guard. Although the three of them had sensed that Long Chen's strength had soared, the others were not in the mood to test the waters. After all, the strength of the three of them was far superior to the current Long Chen. The three of them had made their move first. The people of the Hong Meng Yuan Jia besieged Long Chen, who was at the Hong Meng consolidation realm. If they had to be extremely careful, it would be a joke. Although they weren't 100% confident, the three of them had a goal in their hearts. This time, they would definitely kill Long Chen. At this moment, the people of the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe also leaped up and surrounded Long Chen and Long Yuan to prevent Long Chen from escaping. The three people of the Hong Meng Yuan Jia attacked at the same time. Their opponents were two Hong Meng consolidation realm people. This kind of battle was really bullying. In the eyes of some people, the outcome of this battle was already clear. Perhaps after today, Long Chen, who had risen to fame in the small spiritual world, would completely disappear from the small spiritual world. Or perhaps, Long Chen's reputation would become even more resounding after today. The small spiritual world had always been an unreasonable place. In this place, those with strength had the right to speak. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 1641. Whoosh. As the three figures flew above the primordial lake, huge primordial ripples appeared around them. Even the primordial ripples were faintly formed in the primordial ripples. Three Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts attacked at the same time. This momentum directly transformed into an imposing aura. Previously, Hai Su and Hai Si had suffered at the hands of Long Chen. However, this time, even though Long Chen's strength had increased by a lot, they still charged forward courageously. Perhaps it was because of this time, with the help of the 100-Mile tribe, that Hai Su and Hai Si could be so unscrupulous. The moment the three of them attacked, they did not plan to give Long Chen a way out. They had obviously pushed the Hong Meng energy around them to the limit. They wanted to kill Long Chen with a thunderous momentum. After all, it was not a wise move to drag this battle on with someone like Long Chen, who had endless trump cards. Buzz. Long Yuan looked at the three unscrupulous people. His eyes were filled with coldness. The Sky Demon Dragon spear in his hand was already ready to attack. After a buzz, Long Yuan was ready to attack. Long Yuan. Long Chen immediately called out to Long Yuan. He smiled and said, "Let me try out the power of the ninth part of the heavenly dragon art." When Long Yuan heard this, he could only withdraw his aura. On the ground, when the people saw Long Chen's action of stopping Long Yuan, they were all slightly shocked. This Long Chen, don't tell me he wants to fight three Hong Meng Yuan Jia experts from the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe by himself? Someone exclaimed. He's really arrogant. A Hong Meng consolidation realm expert dares to make such a crazy move. He's really worthy of defeating Mu Wenhua. That's not all. When he defeated Mu Wenhua last time, it was mostly because he was caught off guard. However, this time, it's really a suicidal move. Long Chen's crazy move shocked everyone present. Most of the people below only knew about Long Chen through hearsay. When they saw Long Chen actually daring to make such a move, they were already shocked by Long Chen. The people below were not the only ones who were shocked. Even Hai Su, Hai Si, and Bai Lipa were stunned by Long Chen's move. Previously, when Hai Su and Hai Si's Four Seas tribe besieged Long Chen, it was thanks to Long Yuan's help that Long Chen was able to catch his breath. Even when Hai Su and Hai Si took action, they were prepared to split up and each of them had to hold off Long Yuan. Now, Long Chen actually did not let Long Yuan take action. It was obvious that Long Chen wanted to fight against the three of them by himself. Arrogant to the extreme. Give him a quick death. Haisu shouted in a low voice. A trace of coldness flashed across his face. Since you dare to make such a suicidal move, don't blame us for taking your life. Haisu and Haisi's figures moved even faster. On the other hand, Bailipa of the Bailey tribe hesitated at this moment. Bailipa faintly felt that since Longchen dared to make such a move, there was naturally a reason for it. What awaited them there was likely to be a huge shock. Brother Bailey, what are you waiting for? He's just a Hongmeng Consolidation Realm kid. If you really can't handle it, just condense your domain. What are you afraid of? Haisi shouted. Hearing this, Bailipa did not hesitate anymore. His figure moved and the Hongmeng around him ignited. Torrential heaven. Haisu and Haisi shouted in unison. In an instant, a strong Hongmeng aura directly turned into a torrential wave in mid-air and pressed down on Longchen from all directions. Seeing that Haisu and Haisi had made their move, Bailipa did not hesitate anymore. He immediately activated the Hongmeng aura around him and his expression became extremely serious. Square Circle Guardian. Bailipa did not show any mercy in this attack. He immediately unleashed his strongest attack. A golden Vajra condensed in the air. It was like an ancient giant beast roaring at the sky. It directly wrapped around waves of violent Hongmeng energy pillars and smashed towards Longchen without any hesitation. The three Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts attacked at the same time. Moreover, all of them were extremely powerful attacks. In just a breath's time, the three attacks were already in front of Longchen. Seeing that Longchen was still motionless, it was obvious that Longchen wanted to take these three attacks head-on. Just as these attacks were about to explode above Longchen finally raised his head. Almost at the same time, a surge of powerful Hongmeng aura suddenly burst out from Longchen's body, directly causing a ripple between heaven and earth. The violent and pure Hongmeng aura directly whizzed around Longchen's body. In the next moment, 9 golden dragons directly whizzed out from Longchen's body. The golden light was dazzling, and the dragon's body was dazzling. What kind of technique is this? Looking at the 9 golden dragons that appeared in an instant, Bailipa's eyes immediately flashed with a trace of horror. Haisu and Haisi were also very surprised. Just 3 days ago, Longchen did not display this technique. Now, looking at the 9 golden dragons whizzing out, Haisu and Haisi's expressions were a little surprised. After all, Longchen was an unpredictable person. For example, the array that Longchen displayed before did indeed make Haisu and Haisi have no idea what to do. However, things had already developed to this point. It was unrealistic to want to stop now. Haisu was the first to react. He shouted in a low voice, "Don't be afraid. No matter how powerful this technique is, the one who cast it is only a Hongmeng Consolidation Realm expert. I don't believe that Longchen has such a heaven-defying ability. Your mentality is good, but it's useless." Hearing Haisu's shout, Longchen smiled slightly. When he was at Hongmeng Consolidation Realm level 5, he was able to kill Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts in the domain of Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts. When he was at Hongmeng level 6, he was able to surprise and defeat Mu Wenhua. Moreover, now that Longchen had cultivated the Heavenly Dragon secret art to the advanced stage, his strength was at Hongmeng Consolidation Realm level 9. Naturally, Longchen was confident in facing these 3 people. The dragon halberd appeared in Longchen's hand. The 9 golden dragons seemed to have received an order and were directly added to accompany you. In the next moment, Longchen waved the dragon halberd in his hand and the 9 golden dragons whizzed out. The Hongmeng around him immediately exploded. The 9 golden dragons directly emitted 9 golden light pillars that shot straight into the sky. The golden light in the dragon halberd shone brightly. The moment the 9 light pillars shot into the sky, the dragon halberd also directly pierced towards the 3 people under Longchen's command. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 1642. the dragon halberd emitted a dazzling golden light, and the 9 golden dragons whizzed past. The huge Hongmeng wind and storm-like fluctuations of Hongmeng immediately exploded wherever the dragon halberd passed. Under such power, the wave-like cultivation method that Haisu and Haisi had used before was forcefully blown away by the astral wind created by the 9 golden dragons. Even the Vidrov 100 miles break was severely injured, and for a while, it was unable to move even half a step. In this space, almost all the Hongmeng aura was used by Longchen at this moment. The 9 golden dragons hovered above the dragon halberd, and they were unstoppable. At the same time, just as the golden light of the dragon halberd shone, a huge light will suddenly appeared behind Longchen. Brilliant Sun. The secret technique that the Red Sun tribe was most proud of. Now, Longchen used it without any hesitation. The dazzling sun emitted a dazzling radiance. Violent and vigorous primordial yuan energy directly pressed down from the heavens and earth. The 9 golden dragons actually formed an internal connection with the dazzling sun. 9 dragons brilliant sun. After upgrading the heavenly dragon art to the 9th part, Longchen thought of a way to combine the heavenly dragon art and the brilliant sun. Now, Longchen was satisfied with the power of this technique. As for the real strength of this technique, Longchen also wanted to know. Haisu, Haisi, and Bai Lipa, who were rushing towards him, were Longchen's best practice targets. Boom! The 9 golden dragons and the brilliant sun's aura were connected. The endless Hongmeng energy on the brilliant sun was first connected to the Hongmeng lake, and then, along the dragon halberd in Longchen's hand, it was endlessly sent to the 9 golden dragons on the dragon halberd. The 9 golden dragons, at this moment, became lifelike. The golden dragon's body also emitted a fierce light, and the surging Hongmeng waves exploded. In mid-air, the whistling Hongmeng astral wind directly rolled out a huge torrent in the air, directly shaking a deep whirlpool, one after another. Bailey Po's Vidra's perimeter was finally shattered under the immense pressure. On the Hongmeng lake below, the Hongmeng mist that had not dissipated for a long time was also forcefully blown away by the strong wind. First, Haisu and Haisi's torrent technique was broken by Longchen. Then, Bailey Po's Vidra's perimeter was broken. Now, the 3 people who seemed to be unstoppable before had become passive in the short span of a few breaths. Then, under the astonished gazes of the people around the lake in Hongmeng, the dragon halberd supported by 9 golden dragons finally pierced out. It directly attacked Haisu, Haisi, and Bai Lipa. 9 dragons roared to the sky, blazing sun. Rise! In a hurry, the 3 people quickly rolled up the Hongmeng around them and directly formed a barrier. Longchen's speed did not give the 3 people time to condense their domains. If the experts of Hongmeng Yuan Jia did not condense their domains, their strength would be greatly reduced. Bang! Berserk and rumbling waves of primordial aura directly burst out around the 3 of them. In the beginning, the 3 people should have held a glimmer of hope to resist and wanted to block Longchen's move. After all, in their eyes, Longchen was only a person of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. Of course, it was this kind of thinking that really led them to a dead end. The Hongmeng airwaves fluctuated, and from the earth-shattering beginning, it gradually dissipated. The 3 people who resisted Longchen's move finally fell straight down in midair. Bang, bang, bang. The 3 people heavily smashed onto the ground, and the Hongmeng airwaves around them immediately shattered and exploded. When the Hongmeng airwaves dissipated, the 3 people stood up and raised their heads to look at the sky. When they saw the 9 golden dragons surrounding the 3 people, a trace of horror appeared on their faces at the same time. In the face of Longchen's attack, the attack that they were most proud of appeared to be so weak and insignificant. From the beginning of the 3 people's attack on Longchen until now, it had only been a few dozen breaths of time, but they had been defeated so thoroughly and so miserably. That move simply ignored all of the 3 people's defensive methods and directly bombarded their meridians with the endless Hongmeng airwaves. Although the 3 people now looked fine, in reality, they were all seriously injured and lying on the ground. Not only had Longchen defeated the 3 of them with this move, but he had also disintegrated them psychologically. Longchen showed these people what true strength was. Even so, Hai-Su still couldn't believe that in just 3 days, Longchen, who had been suppressed by him previously, could actually erupt with such powerful strength. One after the other, the difference was like heaven and earth. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, the people who were originally watching the show were extremely shocked when they saw this scene. With the strength of Hongmeng's consolidation realm, one move, just one move, defeated 3 Hongmeng Yuan Jia powerhouses. What was this? Even the powerhouses of Hongmeng Yuan Jia wouldn't dare to guarantee that they had such strength. However, this scene had indeed happened. Moreover, it had happened at the hands of Longchen, a Hongmeng consolidation realm powerhouse. Whoosh! Before anyone could react, Longchen's figure swept through the air again. The dragon halberd in his hand flickered with a golden light and directly emitted waves of cold spear light. Immediately, he went straight for the 3 people standing on the ground. Longchen finally understood that he couldn't leave any room for maneuver when dealing with enemies who had large tribes to rely on. Just like Mu Wenhua, a hidden danger would always be a hidden danger. If he didn't get rid of it, it might cause some unexpected obstacles in the future. At this time, he couldn't be merciful. Looking at Longchen, who was directly pressing down on him, Hai-Su hurriedly took 2 steps back. His face immediately turned cold. Hai-Su looked around and shouted, "Mu Wenhua, since you're here, why don't you show yourself?" As soon as he finished speaking, on the other side of the Hongmeng Lake, there was a violent movement in Hongmeng. Just as Longchen's attack was about to land on Hai-Su's body, the incomparably violent Hongmeng energy swept over with a huge wave of air. Seeing this scene, Longchen's expression suddenly tensed up. The dragon halberd in his hand exerted force again. He directly endured the huge Hongmeng wave of air and pushed the halberd out, allowing the wave of air to bombard his body. At this time, Longchen only had one thought, and that was to completely destroy Hai-Su. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1643. What Longchen didn't expect was that when he forcefully resisted the Hongmeng Qi wave, the Hongmeng Qi on the dragon halberd was actually completely consumed. Devouring power. Domain. Could it be that Mu Wenhua was really here? Thinking back to that time when he was unknowingly trapped in Mu Wenhua's domain and spent a lot of effort to escape, Longchen couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Thinking of this, Longchen had no choice but to stop his attack in order to protect himself and Hai-Su and the other 2. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, the people who were originally shocked by Longchen's move couldn't help but fall into an even greater shock after this scene happened. Who was the one who released this sudden Hongmeng Qi wave that could actually force the unstoppable Longchen to stop? Everyone looked at the other side of the Hongmeng Lake. First, they heard a whistling sound of the Hongmeng wind blowing past. Then, a faint wave of Hongmeng ripples came over. Finally, they saw the figure. It's Mu Wenhua. I heard that Mu Wenhua had advanced to the 5th level of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia a few days ago. It's been nearly 1,000 years since someone from the Sunkenwood tribe reached the 5th level of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia. Finally, there's a good show to watch. Mu Wenhua was previously defeated by Longchen. I'm sure he'll definitely get back at him now. A good show? A 5th level of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia against a person from the Hongmeng consolidation realm. Isn't the result obvious? That's not necessarily true. Didn't you see the scene just now? Longchen alone defeated the attacks of 3 Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts from the 4 Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe. Longchen's strength is also unfathomable. Otherwise, how could he defeat Mu Wenhua? Wah! That makes sense. I'm sure that today's grudge will be resolved here. When Mu Wenhua's figure truly appeared in this world, a wave of praise immediately sounded from the side of the Hongmeng Lake. Hongmeng's 5th level consolidation realm strength, Mu Wenhua was indeed worthy of such admiration. Needless to say, it was likely that Mu Wenhua had his own fortuitous encounter after entering the spirit world ruins. The current Mu Wenhua was obviously a brand new person compared to before he entered the spiritual world ruins. Waves of surging Hongmeng aura constantly emanated from his body, The Hongmeng aura beside the Hongmeng lake was faintly moving towards the spiritual world ruins. Mu Wenhua gathered. Once Mu Wenhua appeared, he immediately cast his cold gaze on Long Chen. A strong killing intent spread out from his expression. However, after Mu Wenhua sized up Long Chen for 2 breaths of time, his eyebrows suddenly furrowed. Tight. Obviously, Mu Wenhua had discovered that Long Chen's body was emitting 2 auras that were completely different from when he entered the spirit world ruins. Mu Wenhua snorted coldly at Long Chen and said, "I didn't expect that in just a few days, your strength would actually be able to advance so quickly. From the 6th level of the Consolidation Realm to the 9th level of the Hongmeng Consolidation Realm. I have to say that you have such an opportunity. It has indeed exceeded my expectations." When the people present heard Mu Wenhua's words, they were shocked. They originally only knew that Long Chen was strong, but they didn't know Long Chen's true strength. Then, they found out that Long Chen had advanced from the 6th level of the Hongmeng Consolidation Realm to Hongmeng in just 3 days. The 9th level of the Consolidation Realm was truly unexpected. Moreover, if Long Chen was advancing at this speed, it wouldn't take long for him to successfully advance to the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. I also didn't expect that you would be able to consecutively break through 2 realms in this spirit world ruins. Looks like you also have such an opportunity. Long Chen clenched the dragon halberd in his hand tightly. 9 golden dragons coiled around it and constantly emitted Hongmeng fluctuations. Originally, Long Chen felt that his advancement in strength was already fast enough. He didn't expect that Mu Wenhua wasn't slower than him. Mu Wenhua didn't comment and said, "No matter what, if I don't deal with you today, I'm afraid that no matter if it's in the spirit world ruins or the small spirit world, I won't have good days in the future." There was a trace of determination in Mu Wenhua's words. Obviously, he was destined to fight to the death with Long Chen this time. Mu Wenhua was right. With the enmity between him and Long Chen, they were destined to become opponents in the small spirit world. Moreover, no matter if it was Long Chen or Mu Wenhua, they were both people with great opportunities. If they were allowed to continue growing like this, there was no telling who would gain the upper hand in the future. When Long Chen heard that, he lightly smiled and said, "If that's the case, then there's no need for me to hold anything back." When he finished speaking, a dense killing intent immediately surfaced on Long Chen's face. Since Mu Wenhua had spoken so bluntly, why would Long Chen hide anything? When people heard the conversation between the 2 of them, they immediately understood that it was indeed impossible for the 2 of them to reconcile. From the instant they spoke those words, it was destined that one of them would die today. A strong murderous intent immediately spread between the 2 of them. Taking advantage of this moment, Hai Su, Hai Si, and Bai Lipo hurriedly escaped from under Long Chen's body. They hurriedly consumed medicinal pills and went to the side to recuperate. Among the 3 of them, other than Hai Su, Hai Si, and Bai Lipo were quite frightened by Long Chen. That kind of powerful attack was still fresh in their minds. They also understood that if Mu Wenhua had not interfered, they would have already died under Long Chen's halberd. Now that they had retreated to the side, before Long Chen and Mu Wenhua decided who was stronger, the 4 Seas tribe and 100-Mile tribe would not rashly attack again. The previous scene was a lesson for them. The reason why Bai Lipo had attacked was because he had taken a fancy to the formation on Long Chen's body. But now, the strength that Long Chen had displayed clearly made Bai Lipo give up on this immature idea. Therefore, when Hai Su saw Hai Si and Bai Lipo's fearful expressions, he immediately let out a sigh of anger. He secretly cursed these 2 good-for-nothings in his heart. Then, after thinking about it, Hai Su also felt that it was quite troublesome. After all, Long Chen's strength was really too unexpected. Mu Wenhua said sternly, "Long Chen, after today, you will understand one thing. Under the Hongmeng Yuan Jie, everyone is just an ant. Even if you were lucky enough to defeat me before, that was only luck. Under the power of the domain, you have no resistance at all. For example, right now, you are already in my domain." When he finished speaking, Long Chen's heart tightened. Was the tragedy from before going to repeat itself? Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1644. Mu Wenhua was very clear that he, who was on the 5th floor of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia, was rarely a match for him even in the entire small spirit world. And now, even if Long Chen, whose strength had advanced by leaps and bounds, was on his guard, it was like the first time he was in the secret forest. As for Lin, Long Chen did not have the strength to fight against him. Moreover, Mu Wenhua had perfectly condensed his domain when Long Chen was not paying attention. Moreover, he had unexpectedly pulled Long Chen into his own domain. This time, Mu Wenhua did not directly use his domain to oppress Hongmeng like before. Mu Wenhua's move was more like seeking a way out for himself, so that when he was defeated by Long Chen in a battle of Hongmeng's strength, he would still have a chance. This was a chance to turn the tables. Long Chen naturally understood Mu Wenhua's thoughts and could not help but curse Mu Wenhua's shamelessness. However, Long Chen was also somewhat helpless towards Mu Wenhua's despicable deeds. After all, no matter what, Mu Wenhua was still a Hongmeng Yuan Jia. An expert. However, since Mu Wenhua had made such a move, it also meant that Mu Wenhua did not have the confidence to truly defeat Long Chen. Since that was the case, Long Chen had a little more confidence. One fell while the other grew. So what if I'm trapped in your domain? Since I can escape from your domain once, I can do it a second time. Do it. Long Chen smiled slightly, and the 9 golden dragons on the dragon halberds suddenly let out a series of dragon roars. Arrogant to the extreme, don't regret it. Mu Wenhua was furious. His gaze was as gloomy as a wild beast. He stared straight at Long Chen, as if he was looking at his prey. Immediately after, the moment his voice fell, Mu Wenhua's entire body burst out with a violent Hongmeng aura. At the same time, a bright golden light flashed in front of Mu Wenhua. In the next moment, the area around Long Chen. It actually formed a Hongmeng Qi barrier that could be seen with the naked eye. This was Mu Wenhua's domain. Mu Wenhua once again trapped Long Chen in his domain. Boom! A Hongmeng Qi wave pushed out from Mu Wenhua's side. In an instant, the aura in this domain immediately condensed. Under the guidance of this Hongmeng Qi wave, it blasted towards Long Chen at lightning speed. Rise! Almost at the same time, Long Chen raised the dragon halberd in his hand. 9 golden dragons whizzed out and a golden light flashed past. Without any fancy moves, Long Chen thrust the dragon halberd out of thin air and directly stimulated a wave of competition in the domain. Mu Wenhua was in the power and bounds of the Hongmeng Qi wave. If Long Mu Wenhua's domain, Long Chen would be able to Long Chen's domain, Long Chen's domain, Long Chen's domain. Clang! The 2 auras collided head-on without any sign of retreat. In the next moment, the sound of air vibrating violently spread across the domain. At the same time, berserk primordial chaos ripples swept out and were directly generated within the domain. Wave of unending fluctuations. It was also because the 2 of them started their battle in this domain that the people outside were completely unaware of what was happening inside. They could only see the violent fluctuations in this domain from time to time. Long Yuan floated beside this domain with his brows tightly knitted. His gaze swept across the people below from time to time. For a moment, he was at a loss of what to do. After Long Chen and Mu Wenhua's first probing attack, they continued to exchange several blows. Neither side showed any signs of weakness. Mu Wenhua was not surprised that Long Chen was able to exchange blows with him without losing. After all, Long Chen was someone who had defeated him before. I really want to know how many opportunities there are in your body. Mu Wenhua roared. His palms formed a seal in the air, and the Hongmeng Qi wave around his body gradually condensed. Year Ring Seal. Long Chen had already seen this move when he was in the dense forest. Now, when Mu Wenhua, who was at the 5th level of Hongmeng Yuan Jia, used this move, what kind of power would it have? In less than a breath's time, the Year Ring Seal condensed and took shape. Without any hesitation, it charged towards Long Chen. Looking at the aura of the Year Ring Seal, Long Chen felt that if it was any other person at the consolidation stage in Hongmeng, under the pressure of such a huge aura, perhaps they would be seriously injured by this Year Ring Seal. However, Long Chen was different. Long Chen's dragon halberd floated in the air. The brilliant sun behind him flickered. It was the same move as before. 9 Dragons Brilliant Sun. In the next moment, Long Chen's figure shot up. The 9 golden dragons connected with the brilliant sun and directly connected with the majestic Hong Meng Qi within the brilliant sun, making the 9 golden dragons indestructible. Long Chen's figure froze. After a moment of hesitation, Long Chen poured all the strength in his body and directly stabbed out with the dragon halberd. A fierce and thick pillar of primordial chaos energy shot out. The 9 golden dragons also pierced out along with the dragon halberd, directly breaking away from the support of the dragon halberd. Immediately, they howled out together with the pillar of primordial chaos energy. At the same time, Long Chen's figure also directly swept out. Following closely behind the pillar of Hong Meng Qi and the 9 golden dragons, another wave of Hong Meng Qi wave was condensed and pierced towards Mu Wenhua. In this domain, Long Chen's figure was like a lonely mountain climber. Even if he was facing unknown dangers, he would not retreat in the slightest. The power of Hong Meng that was wrapped in the Year Ring seal had already been mostly consumed by Long Chen's 9 Dragons Brilliant Sunday. Just as the two forces collided, the dragon halberd in Long Chen's hand actually flashed with a dazzling golden light. Light. The cold light first arrived, then the Hong Meng Qi dragon. Swoosh. Long Chen's eyebrows were tightly knitted together. Facing Mu Wenhua's incessant attack, he was slowly dissolving it. Moreover, in this period of time, Long Chen also made a counterattack. As the dragon halberd was waved, there was a hidden cold glint. Following the vibration of Long Chen's arm, it directly charged towards Mu Wenhua with lightning-like speed. At the same time, the 9 golden dragons that had previously escaped from the dragon halberd also roared out at the same time after entangling with the Year Ring seal for a long time. All of them supported the brilliant sun behind Long Chen. Then, a huge Hong Meng storm burst out and charged towards Mu Wenhua. Mu Wenhua shot out explosively. And just as Long Chen thought that this move would definitely catch Mu Wenhua off guard again, a fierce suppression came from the surroundings of this domain, not giving Long Chen any time to react. Hong Meng's oppression. The Hong Meng's oppression directly spread to Long Chen's body. Long Chen was momentarily unable to suppress the Hong Meng in his body. At this moment, the attack that Long Chen had condensed had no choice but to stop. The absolute control of the domain. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1645. Haha, Long Chen, although this sounds very shameless, in order to kill you, I don't care about anything else. Today, I'll use your life to pay for the humiliation I've endured all these days. Seeing Long Chen's attack being easily shattered by the power of his own domain, Mu Wenhua could not help but laugh out loud. His cold voice seemed to have gone through some kind of ritual, becoming extremely terrifying to the bone. Even if you're a proud son of heaven, even if you have this opportunity that ordinary people can't get in their lifetime, after today, you're just a name. In this small spiritual world, there won't be a single inch of space for you. Mu Wenhua's hands changed as waves of Hong Meng surged around him. It was like an earth-shattering aura. Around the domain barrier, endless Hong Meng pressure was emitted. Long Chen had experienced this scene before. In the dense forest, Long Chen had seen this move. With a low shout, a huge seed gradually condensed and formed in front of Mu Wenhua. Boom! The Hong Meng aura in the domain was first suppressed to the extreme by Mu Wenhua, almost completely cutting off Long Chen's contact with the surrounding Hong Meng. At the same time, in front of Mu Wenhua, the Hong Meng aura began to boil. Waves of violent and vigorous Hong Meng began to surge violently. The seed in front of Mu Wenhua's body was also rapidly growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. This aura was so powerful that even those outside the domain could feel the deterrence of this aura. Just by sensing the aura emitted from the domain, everyone present understood that there was definitely a killing move erupting in the domain at this moment. If the so-called killing move was used, one of the two would definitely die. Heavy smoke, spring comes to a withered tree. When Hai Su and the others felt this aura, a hint of joy immediately appeared on their faces. Those present, perhaps those in the Hong Meng consolidation realm, did not know where this aura came from, but Hai Su, who was also a Hong Meng Yuan Jia, understood very well. To be able to emit the aura of the domain through the domain meant that the person controlling the domain had already merged the power of the domain with himself. To use a killer move in such a situation, it was simply a death trap for the other people in the same domain. Hai Su did not dare to estimate the exact power of such an unrestrained attack in addition to Mu Wenhua's powerful strength. However, he could tell that it would be a piece of cake for him to kill Long Chen with this move. It was obvious that Mu Wenhua wanted to use this day's battle to completely wash away the fact that he was once defeated by a Hong Meng consolidation realm expert after killing Long Chen. A dazzling green light that filled the sky was emitted from the seed in front of Mu Wenhua. Gradually, the towering tree condensed in front of Long Chen's eyes. Its entire body was filled with a destructive Hong Meng aura. Facing this extremely unfavorable situation, even Long Chen felt a sense of danger from the bottom of his heart. In the past battles, Long Chen did not enter Mu Wenhua's domain. However, now that Long Chen was in Mu Wenhua's domain, he would definitely have to endure Mu Wenhua's attack. As for himself, he could only passively accept it. If he could not withstand it, Long Chen could only escape. However, in the current situation, even if Long Chen wanted to escape, he would have to expend a lot of energy. After all, it was obviously impossible for Long Chen, who was currently suppressed by Hong Meng, to break through the domain. Last time, Long Chen really exceeded Mu Wenhua's expectations. That was why he was able to use the devouring power of the 9-division heavenly dragon to devour the towering tree. Thus, he borrowed the force to break through the domain. With the previous lesson, Mu Wenhua would definitely not do such a thing again. According to Mu Wenhua's strength, if he were to deal with any Hong Meng consolidation realm expert, he would probably not use such a large force. However, Mu Wenhua knew that Long Chen could not be compared with other Hong Meng consolidation realm experts. To deal with Long Chen, he had to use all his strength. This time, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with. Do you want me to make a move? I can probably block it. In the Dragon Palace, Long Mu's expression was also a little nervous. No, your spiritual body is already unstable. If I let you use all your strength, you might not be able to wake up again. Long Chen firmly rejected Long Mu's suggestion. If I don't do this, can you block this move? Hong Meng Yuan Jia's strength is at the 5th level, and you're also in his domain. The difference between heaven and earth is like heaven and earth. This is a sure death situation. Long Mu roared. It won't. Long Chen panted a few times and said coldly, it's still too early to say who this sure death situation is for. Long Mu, trust me. Looking at Long Chen's unyielding attitude, Long Mu could only keep quiet. In fact, even if Long Mu made a move, he might not be able to block Mu Wenhua's move with 100% certainty. Mu Wenhua's figure flashed, and the Hong Meng around him condensed again. In just a few breaths, the towering giant tree in front of him was supported by a huge amount of Hong Meng Yuan Qi. Waves of dark green light suddenly emitted like ripples. From the ripples that penetrated through, Long Chen also felt a trace of fear. Whoosh! Mu Wenhua's gaze was resolute. It was obvious that he did not intend to continue this fight. His palm swept down, and the aura of Hong Meng in the domain immediately shook. The towering giant tree in front of him also took this opportunity to directly attack Hong Meng. As the towering giant tree whistled, the small world within the domain was also suddenly sucked into a vacuum. Outside the domain, the Hong Meng lake directly below was also affected by the aura within the domain. The Hong Meng lake water immediately became extremely unstable. A large number of lake sea snakes scuttled out from the depths of the Hong Meng lake, besieging and tearing apart the people they encountered. The people rose up in resistance, and for a moment, the Hong Meng lake was in a mess. Looking at the lake sea snakes that covered the sky and earth as they rushed over, the people who originally wanted to cultivate by the Hong Meng lake immediately had a worried expression. This formation was too fierce. Within the domain, Longchen looked at the towering giant tree that was rushing towards him, and his expression gradually froze. Longchen was thinking about what kind of method he should use to block this move. The Nine Dragons' brilliant sun was not feasible, and the monstrous Starlight Array and the Star Lotus God-killing Array were also not feasible. What should he do? Longchen was caught in a dilemma. If he made a mistake, Longchen's price would be death. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1646. In the end, Longchen made up his mind. The moment of life and death had arrived once again. Even though Mu Wenhua had locked down all the Hongmeng around him, Longchen still had his own Hongmeng in his body. Moreover, on the dragon halberd in his hand, on the 9 golden dragons on the halberd, there was Longchen's own Hongmeng. The moment the Hongmeng connected the meridians and converged, a wave of Hongmeng fluctuations that belonged to Longchen appeared in the domain. When Mu Wenhua saw Longchen's actions, the corners of his mouth immediately curled up. Mu Wenhua had some understanding of Longchen's actions. After all, Longchen had used this method to break Mu Wenhua's domain. That time, it had also caused Mu Wenhua to lose face in front of the people of the Deepwood tribe. This time, Mu Wenhua would definitely not make the same mistake, nor would he give Longchen the conditions to do so. Therefore, when Mu Wenhua saw Longchen burning all the Hongmeng around him, he really laughed at him. In the past, Mu Wenhua was at the 3rd level of Hongmeng Yuan Jia, while Longchen was at the 5th level of Hongmeng Consolidation Realm. Although Mu Wenhua had allowed Longchen to escape from his domain, it was still Mu Wenhua who controlled the direction of the battle. This time, Mu Wenhua not only wanted to control the battle, but he also wanted to control Longchen's death. Therefore, before Mu Wenhua made his move, he had already made all the preparations. Mu Wenhua was confident that even if Longchen used a technique stronger than before, he would still not be able to stop this towering giant tree. Spring came to a withered tree. The Hongmeng around Longchen's body was completely mobilized. The 9 golden dragons left the dragon halberd's support, and the dragon halberd was also put away by Longchen. The 9 golden dragons hovered around Longchen. Longchen forced out all his Hongmeng energy and injected it into the 9 golden dragons. Then, with his eyes closed, Longchen's body turned into nothingness. In an instant, 9 pillars of primordial chaos energy shot out from the bodies of the 9 golden dragons. The Hongmeng pillar of energy soared into the sky and slammed heavily on the edge of the barrier. Bang! A violent collision sound rang out, and the entire domain actually showed signs of tilting under this kind of vibration. As the domain trembled, the invincible giant tree slowed down its speed for a moment. However, the violent bombardment of the 9 light pillars was not over yet. Before Mu Wenhua could react, the 9 light pillars violently bombarded the domain barrier again. Looking at Longchen's completely different method of handling things, Mu Wenhua shook his head helplessly and said, "You actually want to break through my domain? Hongmeng's Hongmeng Consolidation Realm, you really dare to be wishful thinking." At this moment, a voice came from Longchen's incorporeal body. "Wishful thinking. Which eye of yours saw that I was going to break through your domain? You can't even imagine what I'm going to do." As the 9 light pillars hit the domain again and again, the domain that was originally stable in midair actually began to move bit by bit. Before the towering giant tree arrived, the 9 light pillars had actually hit the edge of the domain barrier nearly 100 times. This time, every collision caused the domain to tilt a little, causing this stable domain to move a little bit. Bang! Finally, with the last collision, the entire domain finally reached the point that Longchen had hoped for. And this point was that Mu Wenhua's domain had come into contact with the Hongmeng Lake. Being in Mu Wenhua's domain, Longchen obviously could not use his full strength to perform his techniques. Even if he could use Hongmeng to perform his techniques, he could only display a little of the power of his techniques. Hongmeng was different. And this other Hongmeng was the Hongmeng Lake. At that time, in order to quietly bring Longchen into his domain, Mu Wenhua had no choice but to place his domain above the Hongmeng Lake. Moreover, he had to place it in a position very close to the Hongmeng Lake. Although this achieved Mu Wenhua's goal, it also gave Longchen a chance. Now, Longchen had completed the first step of his goal. Through the domain's barrier, he absorbed the endless Hongmeng Yuan energy in the Hongmeng Lake. Obviously, when Mu Wenhua thought that Longchen was going to break through his domain, Longchen was already prepared to deal with it. Mu Wenhua's expression became rich when he saw Longchen's domain come into contact with the primordial lake in the vast primordial lake. Could it be played like this? Mu Wenhua never thought that his indestructible domain would be so fragile under the erosion of the Hongmeng Lake. Although the domain's barrier was not broken, the aura of Hongmeng that seeped through the barrier had already turned his domain into a decoration. If he could not use the domain to suppress the Hongmeng Lake around Longchen, then what was the use of the domain? However, after a period of buffer, Mu Wenhua's eyes still focused and became fierce. In his opinion, even if Longchen had obtained the aura of the primordial lake and turned the battle into a battle of primordial realm, Mu Wenhua, who was at the 5th level of the primordial realm, still had a chance in terms of primordial realm. He had great confidence. Moreover, his most prideful skill, Withered Tree Comes Spring, had already been used. The speed of the towering tree's attack was faster and faster, and the Hongmeng Lake around it was also increasing. The current situation was, even if Longchen had enough Hongmeng aura, would he be able to block this towering tree that could almost destroy the heavens and earth? Poop was the biggest problem. If he could not block it, then everything that Longchen had done before would be nothing. Therefore, Mu Wenhua did not lose too much control of this battle. Looking at the towering tree that was gradually approaching Longchen, Mu Wenhua seemed to have already seen the scene of the towering tree killing Longchen. However, this scene was absolutely impossible for Longchen to happen. Since he had endless Hongmeng aura to control, Longchen was no longer afraid. Longchen's entire body turned from nothingness into a physical body. At the same time, Longchen's entire body floated above the Hongmeng Lake. The Hongmeng Lake around him exploded, and the 9 golden dragons roared at the same time. Behind Longchen, a small flame appeared. Then, the flame gradually grew bigger and bigger. When the towering tree was 10 feet away from Longchen, this flame had already ignited into a monstrous fire. At the same time, the 9 golden dragons around Longchen actually dove into this monstrous fire. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1647. 9 nether flames, burn all living things, golden light glimmer, heavenly dragon sacred flames. Longchen's deep and powerful voice came out of his mouth. Then, the domain that Mu Wenhua was most proud of actually collapsed and shattered the moment the 9 fire dragons appeared. World karmic flames, rise. Endless flames ignited. On the Hongmeng Lake, thousands of lake hells were probably affected by the flames. They began to rush out and madly rush towards the surroundings of the Hongmeng Lake. These lake hells had absorbed the endless Hongmeng aura in the Hongmeng Lake over the past tens of thousands of years. Almost all of the surrounding creatures had become lake hells and obtained the right to cultivate. For tens of thousands of years, the lake hells had quietly lurked in the Hongmeng Lake and had never been disturbed by outsiders. Now, the raging fire that Longchen had ignited above the Hongmeng Lake was unbearable for these lake hells who had been hibernating under the lake. At the same time, the 9 golden dragons that had originally rushed into the flames also roared out after a short delay and turned into 9 fire dragons. Longchen had successfully used this move when he was fighting against Elder Qian. However, at that time, he had only managed to catch the unique flames in Elder Qian's domain. In addition, Elder Qian's strength was too weak. Longchen had only succeeded. This time, if Longchen had not been determined to die, it was unlikely that he would have been able to use this move. This move, 9 dragon sacred flames. The 9 fire dragons were burning with a dazzling fire. On the Hongmeng Lake, waves of turbulent air waves continuously gathered on the 9 fire dragons. In the collapsed domain, along with the burning of the flames, it actually opened up. It began to shake violently. Without the restraint of the domain, everyone by the Hongmeng Lake could clearly see the situation of the battle. Looking at the 9 fire dragons that seemed to be invincible in the world, the chaotic side of the primordial lake, which had been engulfed in chaos from the battle earlier, actually became silent. What happened? Someone in the crowd exclaimed in surprise. In their opinion, the outcome of this battle was destined from the beginning. Mu Wenhua had successfully trapped Longchen in his domain. Unless Longchen was promoted to Hongmeng Yuanjia in the domain, there was no way he could survive. But now, Mu Wenhua's domain had collapsed. Moreover, at the moment when the domain collapsed, the 9 fire dragons appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This made the crowd even more confused about what had happened in the domain. Looking at the frantic lake hells fleeing, some people who were standing near the Hongmeng Lake could not help but take a few steps back. Hongmeng. Azure Sky Art? After a long period of silence, someone in the crowd reluctantly shouted this sentence. The spells were divided into Origin Spell, Unification Spell, Elemental Realm Spell, and Azure Heaven Spell according to the power level of the user. Due to the limitations of one's cultivation level, many people could only use spells that corresponded to their cultivation level. This was why spells were differentiated like this. Of course, some powerful people could also use spells that were one level higher than their cultivation level. However, the price to pay was also very high. Often, one would suffer from the backlash of the technique. Now, the technique Longchen displayed was not as simple as just one level higher. As Hongmeng's consolidation realm, Longchen actually displayed the Hongmeng Tianjing's Azure Sky Art, which was close to the strength of Hongmeng Tianjing. This kind of situation was unprecedented. In the 9 extreme realms, Hongmeng Yuanjia's experts were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns, and Hongmeng Tianjing's experts were rarely seen in thousands of years. Therefore, those who were worthy of the Hongmeng Tianjing's Azure Sky Art were Hongmeng Tianjing's experts. There were very few of them. Now, a technique that was truly worthy of being Hongmeng's Azure Sky Art was displayed in front of everyone's eyes. The person who displayed it was Longchen, who no one was optimistic about at the beginning of the battle. Under the raging flames of the 9 fire dragons, the originally invincible towering tree was actually unable to withstand a single blow. The Hongmeng's power wrapped around the towering tree gradually disappeared. When Mu Wenhua saw this, he quickly injected his strength into the towering tree again. Now, Mu Wenhua had fallen into a state of madness. No matter what, he wanted to kill Longchen. Beside the primordial lake, Hai Su, Hai Si, and Bai Lippo's faces had already turned incomparably pale. They looked at the 9 fire dragons that were hovering in the air. Their hands were already connected to their bodies and they began to tremble. This was especially so for Hai Si, who was about to kneel on the ground. They clearly did not expect that the seemingly simple Longchen would actually have such a powerful trump card. When they thought about how they had shouted at Longchen previously, cold sweat immediately appeared on their backs. For Si's tribe. Quickly retreat. Hai Su trembled as he gave this order. His expression was filled with endless fear. Based on the situation, Longchen's move would definitely finish off Mu Wenhua. After that, if Longchen still had the strength to fight, he would definitely take the initiative to deal with the 4 Seas tribe and 100 Mile tribe, who were once enemies of Longchen. Therefore, Hai Su's current order was very important. When he heard Hai Su's words, Hai Si hurriedly nodded. He hurriedly ran towards the other side of the Hongmeng Lake with the help of the other members of the 4 Seas tribe. When he saw the actions of the 4 Seas tribe, Bai Lippo also swiftly reacted. He hurriedly followed the 4 Seas tribe and began to leave this area. If it was not for the 4 Seas tribe, it was likely that Bai Lippo would not have placed his greedy eyes on Longchen. Fortunately, the current Bai Lippo still had a chance of survival. As long as Bai Lippo ran fast enough. At this moment, a trace of fear finally surfaced in Mu Wenhua's eyes. Under the erosion of the raging flames, the towering tree had already completely disappeared. Moreover, the disappearance of the towering tree had also helped the momentum of the raging flames to a certain extent. Hongmeng's azure sky art. How is this possible? How is this possible? Long Chen's body once again turned illusory. The 9 fire dragons around his body tightly surrounded Long Chen. Raging flames incinerated the heavens. Huff! A strong wind suddenly rose in Hongmeng. Under everyone's gazes, the illusory figure surrounded by the 9 fire dragons actually gradually floated up. In the next moment, the illusory figure waved his hand. Destroy! An explosive roar came from an unknown place and directly resounded across the sky. The Hongmeng Lake had already turned into a sea of fire. The Hongmeng between the sky and the earth began to collapse. When the waving motion completely ended, the 9 golden dragons suddenly burst forth with raging flames at the same time and directly blasted towards Mu Wenhua. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1648. Crack! The raging flames spewed out by the 9 fire dragons heavily collided with Mu Wenhua's body, immediately creating a layer of violent Hongmeng Qi waves above the Hongmeng Lake. After that, this scene only lasted for a moment, and then the Hongmeng Qi waves, it exploded in the air. Under Mu Wenhua's gaze, which did not even have the time to be shocked, his own body was heavily smashed down by the 9 fire dragons. Rumble! Immediately after, the sound of Hongmeng's aura shaking immediately spread above the Hongmeng Lake. Everyone on the ground didn't dare to blink, afraid that they would miss an even more shocking scene. Before this, the towering tree that stretched between heaven and earth was almost Mu Wenhua's full-strength attack. It was enough to completely tear any Hongmeng Consolidation Realm person into pieces. However, even such a move was still Long Chen's 9 fire dragons. Under the attack, they quickly collapsed. Even Mu Wenhua himself was hit by the huge impact of Hongmeng. The technique that Long Chen used at this moment was undoubtedly the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art. In the eyes of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia, the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art was almost synonymous with invincibility. Mu Wenhua's eyes were finally filled with shock when he saw his attacks being countered by Long Chen one by one and his body also suffering from serious injuries. The moment the 9 fire dragons collided with his body, Mu Wenhua's body immediately turned red. When the fire dragons hit him and spat out a mouthful of blood, his expression immediately became dispirited. Hongmeng Azure Sky Art. Mu Wenhua's expression was pale, and his gaze became somewhat dull. Before this, Mu Wenhua had only heard of the existence of the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art. But now, he actually saw it for himself. Who exactly is he? How can he possess the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art? Moreover, he can even use it. A major question lingered in Mu Wenhua's mind, and it did not dissipate for a long time. According to Mu Wenhua's knowledge, Long Chen's identity was only that of a small tribe in the Black Dragon tribe. But now, seeing Long Chen's methods, Mu Wenhua really suspected Long Chen's true identity. Long Chen's identity was indeed a mystery. Even their Sunkenwood tribe, a dignified large tribe, did not have the existence of the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art. And right now, just a small tribe, Long Chen, how could he possess it? This is impossible. Mu Wenhua's heart was filled with unwillingness and resentment. His eyes were blood red, and his expression suddenly became deranged. If he could possess the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art, he would definitely be able to dominate this small spiritual world and take all the opportunities in this small spiritual world for himself. Then, his Sunkenwood tribe would become invincible. However, Mu Wenhua's way of thinking was ultimately too immature. All of this was indeed impossible at the moment. Humph! Just as Mu Wenhua was glaring at Long Chen with a face full of anger, Long Chen was also glaring at Mu Wenhua. The 9 fire dragons circled around Long Chen, causing monstrous flames to burn continuously. Under this light, it was as if Long Chen had also become a ball of flames. The moment the two of them looked at each other, Long Chen frowned. In the next moment, the Hongmeng flames around the 9 golden dragons once again burst out, immediately condensing into a fierce and vigorous Hongmeng flame in midair. At the same time, it carried an unparalleled power. The Pillar of Origin power directly blasted towards Mu Wenhua. Rumble. When the intense temperature and the whistling Hongmeng wind spread to Mu Wenhua's body, Mu Wenhua, who had been resentful all this time, actually felt a trace of killing intent as he looked at the Hongmeng that was rushing towards him. The power of the 9 fire dragons had already turned into an unstoppable ball of raging flames. 9 dragons as one, invincible. Mu Wenhua's expression was shocked. He hurriedly retreated and said, "Long Chen, today, I, Mu Wenhua, am blind. It's also because your strength is astonishing. Why don't we clear up the grudges between us from now on?" Hearing this, Long Chen chuckled and replied sternly, "Clear up the grudges? That's easy to say. However, the grudges will indeed be cleared up. After all, I don't have any grudges with a dead person." Long Chen rode the 9 golden dragons, his eyes filled with a strong killing intent. From the beginning, Long Chen did not expect that this move would produce such a great power. Originally, Long Chen wanted to combine the heavenly dragon secret art with the sacred flame and use the 8 mysterious dragon flame that he had used before. However, when Long Chen was carrying out this process, the Hongmeng aura that was guided from the Hongmeng lake actually underwent some changes. The Hongmeng aura in the Hongmeng lake was actually innately compatible with the dazzling dragon flame that Long Chen used. The moment it was guided into Long Chen's body, it directly burned around Long Chen. At that time, the situation was very critical. Long Chen did not expect that there would be such a change. The flames burned his body. If it was not handled properly, Long Chen would have turned into a pile of ashes. Fortunately, Long Chen's physique was strong. Even under such a crisis, Long Chen relied on the strong endurance that his physique gave him to control the burning Hongmeng energy that had entered the meridians of his body. After that, he endured the intense pain and added the Hongmeng aura bit by bit to the 9 golden dragons. It was also because of this that the 9 golden dragons became 9 fire dragons. At the same time, the power of these 9 fire dragons was several times stronger than the fire dragons that appeared in Elder Qi Yan's domain. However, with such great power, the backlash of this technique should not be underestimated. While Long Chen was controlling the 9 fire dragons, he was also enduring the burning of the huge flames. Moreover, this kind of flame burned Long Chen's body as the price. In other words, after this battle, Long Chen's strength was very likely to drop. However, Long Chen did not care so much. In today's battle, he must kill Mu Wenhua. Otherwise, after this battle, if Long Chen's strength dropped, and if they met again in the future without the help of the Hongmeng Lake, Mu Wenhua would be it was possible that he would change his current servile attitude. Therefore, Long Chen was resolute. Even if he had to fight with his own strength, he could not let Mu Wenhua become an internal threat. The 9 fire dragons rushed over, and the temperature around Mu Wenhua's body rose higher and higher. Gradually, Mu Wenhua's expression began to tremble. Year Ring Seal. Mu Wenhua finally started to react the instant the 9 fire dragons charged over. He understood that if he still didn't resist, then he would truly die here. However, Mu Wenhua was about to use up all his Hongmeng energy. Now that he was seriously injured, how could he fight against Long Chen? Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 1649. The Year Ring Seal, which was flickering with a green light, quickly formed in front of Mu Wenhua. Although the strength of this Year Ring Seal appeared to be unfathomable from its outer appearance, Mu Wenhua understood that the Year Ring Seal that he had formed would be unable to withstand even a single blow when compared with Long Chen's 9 fire dragons. Rumble. Following the roar of the 9 fire dragons, the monstrous world-burning flames finally descended in front of Mu Wenhua. The aura of the 9 fire dragons was so imposing that the blazing flames around them directly lit up the entire area. In comparison, the Year Ring Seal had become somewhat weak. The 9 fire dragons were a little sluggish in front of the Year Ring Seal. After which, following a huge gust of wind from Hongmeng, the 9 fire dragons responded and directly pounced towards the weak Year Ring Seal. The instant the two forces came into contact, a clear cracking sound immediately erupted from the Year Ring Seal. In the next instant, the originally perfect ring seal directly exploded under the devouring of the 9 fire dragons. At the same time, a violent wave of air swept out. Not long after, waves of continuous ripples appeared on the surface of the Hongmeng Lake. Although the ring seal had shattered, there was still an invisible force in front of Mu Wenhua that was faintly blocking the advance of the 9 fire dragons. It could be seen that Mu Wenhua had pushed his potential to the limit in order to survive. However, under the Hongmeng's azure sky art, all of Mu Wenhua's resistance was just a joke. Break! A cluster of flames ignited in Long Chen's eyes as the 9 fire dragons roared towards the sky. In an instant, the final defensive technique that Mu Wenhua had used finally showed signs of collapsing. As the 9 fire dragons once again charged forward, the final layer of defense was completely shattered. At this moment, Mu Wenhua's face was as pale as paper, and his expression was filled with shock. Now that the 9 fire dragons were right in front of him, he no longer had any way to resist. The 9 fire dragons roared as they descended. Without any fanciful movements, all of their strength smashed into Mu Wenhua's body. Bang! The 9 fire dragons pressed down on Mu Wenhua's body, forcing him into the lake of Hongmeng. The 9 fire dragons entered the Hongmeng Lake. Not only did the flames around them not extinguish, they burned even more vigorously. Hongmeng Lake shook violently, and a huge whirlpool suddenly appeared at the spot where Mu Wenhua had fallen into the water. Hongmeng's aura fluctuated intensely, and countless lake otters jumped out of the whirlpool and rushed in all directions. Under such circumstances, Mu Wenhua was already deader than dead. Even if he had a slim chance of survival, when he woke up in the Hongmeng Lake, he would most likely be eaten alive by the thousands of lake puppets in the Hongmeng Lake. In other words, Mu Wenhua was indeed dead. With Mu Wenhua's death, the Sunkenwood tribe was as good as crippled. Long Chen's enemies in the small spiritual world would have one less. As for the others, Long Chen did not want to pay attention to them. At least, they had not done anything as arrogant to Long Chen as they had done to Mu Wenhua. This battle ended with Long Chen's victory. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, everyone who saw this scene was shocked. Feeling the scorching aura emitted from the Hongmeng Lake, many people took a few steps back towards the Hongmeng Lake. These people raised their heads and looked at the sky. When they saw Long Chen surrounded by 9 fire dragons, their gazes were mixed with some fear. With the strength of the Hongmeng Consolidation Realm, he was able to use the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art and forcefully kill a Hongmeng Yuan Jia expert. Such means and such strength really shocked everyone present. Some people who only knew of Long Chen from rumors finally believed in Long Chen's strength. Presumably, from now on, Long Chen's name would not only be spread in the small spiritual world. When the small spiritual world ended, Long Chen would definitely become the brightest star in the polar region of Hongmeng. In the air, Long Chen looked at the whirlpool in the Hongmeng Lake with a grave expression. With a thought, he directly connected to the Hongmeng Qi in the Hongmeng Lake. Soon, a pillar of Hongmeng Qi appeared in the whirlpool and directly pulled Mu Wenhua's body out. At this moment, Mu Wenhua only had a broken limb and no longer had any vitality. Long Chen heavily slammed Mu Wenhua to the side of the Hongmeng Lake. At the same time, with a wave of his mind, an object flickering with green light floated up. The spiritual world jade slit ring. This was the spiritual world jade slit ring that belonged to Mu Wenhua. After Mu Wenhua's death, Long Chen naturally had to keep it for him. Although Long Chen did not know what the spiritual world jade slit ring was used for, Long Chen faintly felt that one day in the future, this spiritual world jade slit ring would play a big role. Many of the people present recognized that the object floating out of Mu Wenhua's corpse was the spiritual world jade slit ring. However, no one dared to touch it. After all, the one who wanted the spiritual world jade slit ring was Long Chen. At this moment, no tribe dared to show any disdain towards Long Chen. They knew that this seemingly inconspicuous and weak Long Chen possessed a strength that they could never reach in their lifetime. If they angered this person, even the powerful Deepwood tribe could not afford to offend him. Under the pressure of this kind of strength, no one dared to say a word. Even those who were on good terms with the Deepwood tribe did not dare to say anything. After finishing these matters, Longchen withdrew the 9 fire dragons around him and removed the Hongmeng Qi that he had cast on himself. Longchen also slightly alleviated the backlash from the Hongmeng Azure Sky Art. Longchen looked into the distance and discovered that the people of the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe were fleeing. Seeing the terrified expressions of those people, Longchen smiled. He did not expect that there would be a day when the experts of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia would be scared witless by his deterrence. For the people of the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe, being able to keep their lives this time was already the greatest gift to them. They only hoped that in the future, they would not be in the spiritual world ruins, or even in the small spiritual world. Beside the Hongmeng Lake, some people saw the Four Seas tribe and the 100-Mile tribe fleeing in panic. They could not help but recall the high spirits of the two tribes when they controlled the Hongmeng Lake. Looking at the current situation, it was indeed somewhat ironic. The figure in the air did not chase after them. Perhaps, it was disdainful. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.